Eagles. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Monday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen. Week number 2 of the NFL offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles. The NFL Divisional round wrapped up last night. The Eagles OC search deepens. They get some news on the special teams coordinator and plenty more updates for you this morning on a Monday. Mac, how you doing this Monday morning as we kick off week number 2 of the Eagles offseason, my friend?
A lot of football, a lot of last second games. Well, one wasn't, but which didn't reflect well.
No, you were on that one, John.
Eagles. But the other games were pretty entertaining at the bare minimum. A lot of turnovers, which is all over the place, which is surprising at this stage of the game for the supposedly best teams. But boy, I thought, because we're going to be talking about coaching searches and offensive coordinator searches, two best offensive minds in the game were trying to hand each other the game, it seemed to me. I was getting on here ready to rip Sean McVay to high heaven if they lost that game.
I don't blame you.
I mean, my Lord. So for people who think everything's X's and O's, game management's a big part of this thing. A lot of issues from a coaching perspective as well. Controversial plays. Look, I feel bad for the Bills. I mean, they normally give that to the offensive player. But there's no law. What I put on X after first law of coaching, literally first law of coaching, chapter 1, page 1, control what you can control. Game's not over on that play.
Right.
Might have been if you got it, and that's disappointing, but there's no law against perseverance. You didn't lose the game on that play. So, but it's very difficult anytime that kind of thing happens. And the NFL, the frustrating part about me of the NFL is never the calls, the legend. People get obsessed with the calls. I'm like, why do you even watch the games if that's all you're worried about? Yeah, I mean, there's a human element. You're going to have mistakes. That's why you say control what you can control. My issue is after the fact with the bullshit explanations. Just say, it was a bang call, and that's what we thought on the field, and that's what we looked at, and that's right. That's it. That's all you have to do.
It's an imperfect practice.
Exactly.
There's no way to. I'm with you. I've been with you on this from the start. I mean, it's the over legislation, though, John. There's so much legislation. I think they should remove some of it just to get free this thing up a little bit. But they're not going to do that, John. The ratings keep going up, my friend. But you're right, man. The turnovers. Nick Sirianni must have been watching those playoffs. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he's in Cancun. Who the hell knows what Nick Sirianni's doing? But he must have watched.
He's in Jersey because he's got to do 97. Well, some people think he isn't involved, but he's got to do 97 interviews for.
I'm saying he must have been watching those playoffs, though, man, with all those turnovers.
I guarantee he was smiling. Yeah. There was a little smile about the Rams-Bears game. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, no doubt.
But the 49ers, I mean, and that to me just highlighted just how bad of a loss that Eagles loss was. Now, look, Chicago's is such an interesting team, but I mean, they pull stuff out of there. You know what? I mean, that game was over, and Caleb Williams makes that play. That's like, I compared that one to Steph Curry. That's like the 40-footer where you're like, no, yes, that's a bullshit play. I mean, that's not something you hang your hat on, but he's the kind of guy who can make that play. So that's where the Eagles would have been if they beat San Francisco. Could they have won that game? Yeah, I think they could have won that game, but there's no friggin' way they're beating Seattle. From that, I mean, so, but it's just that team, the Eagles losing to San Francisco at that point. That was a bad loss. I said it the day after, said it the day of. That is a bad, bad loss.
And it looks even worse now, and it will look worse in history now after they were
And
trounced.
there's no transitive property, and San Francisco played poorly, and Seattle played well, especially
Perception,
defensively.
though, Johnny Mac, perception.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they were just up against it from a nutrition standpoint, an injury standpoint. I mean, you can't lose to that team at that spot at home, and they did. It's a bad loss.
No doubt. Johnny Mac, let's get into the Eagles news. We will talk a little bit more about those divisional round games with Jeff Kerr coming up. I want to thank and welcome everybody for being here. John, what is the latest on the Eagles OC search? A lot of names coming in on interviews here in Philly. What do you know? What's the latest on the OC search, John? Where do we stand? And maybe even an early thought of when does this thing get done? It feels like this news could come any second now.
Well, I think as teams prop up, the only three guys have been confirmed to interview. That's Zach Robinson, the former Falcons offensive coordinator. He went first. I wouldn't put too much into that. Then it was Mike Kapka, Giants former OC, interim coach, fourth round pick of the Eagles back in the day, former quarterback from Northwestern, very smart guy. I don't think people will like that because he was with the Giants, who obviously didn't have a good offense. Jim Bob Cooter, I know they're not going to like. He got permission from Saints that I can interview him because he's perceived to be a Nick Sirianni guy. Those are the only ones that are confirmed. As far as reported wanting to interview Charlie Weiss Jr., probably the most interesting from his, doesn't have a ton of experience. And certainly none at the pro level. Obviously grew up in a family that has a ton of experience at the pro level, but there's a lot of ways you can look at it, but it did a great job at Ole Miss in difficult circumstances, really for 2 years. People forget he turned Jackson Dart into first round pick. They had the number one offense in the best conference, at least as we're told in college football. So Charlie Weiss Jr., Brian Daboll, who I still think is the favorite from my perspective. Chargers seem to be very interested. So to your point about timing, sometimes you have to move quickly if you want a particular candidate.
Yep.
Mike McDaniel's another guy with a ton of interest around the league, both as a head coach and a coordinator. I think he would be the favorite from most of the fans that have contacted me. Don't know why, but
wait, who would be the favorite amongst those?
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
And they speak with conviction about it.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I've heard Tampa Bay is very interested there as an offensive coordinator, so you might have to move quickly, and they haven't gotten him in for an interview. And then, maybe a second or third choice that was interesting. Bobby Slowick is the latest one. That's a guy you hadn't heard of at all, and they want to talk to him. And
where is Bobby Slowick? And I know he coached really well his, CJ Stroud's rookie year, and his name was on the map big after that, but it's cooled off since.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's exactly what I was going to say. He was so hot, and then just fell off a cliff.
Well, is anybody blaming Bobby Slowick? Did anybody watch CJ Stroud this week?
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. That's how quickly things change.
CJ Stroud is horrible, John.
Yeah, he was
horrible.
that was a pathetic performance. I mean, every time he dropped back, you were expecting something bad to happen. Just playing with no confidence, just a terrible, terrible performance. But he was in Miami with McDaniel, senior passing game coordinator. But to your point, he was like one of the hottest guys on the market.
He's a Shanahan, isn't he? Isn't he a Shanahan, like a Shanahan system?
Yeah, he started. Yeah, that's really when he, he got into it. Well, he was a defensive assistant, so he had entry level jobs with Washington and then San Francisco, and he took a bunch of time off before Kyle had him as a quality control coach, and then he's worked his way up, offensive assistant, offensive pass game specialist, passing game coordinator. Then he got the OC job in Houston, where he was. A lot of people were. He was in the head coaching. He was on the circuit to get head coaching interviews after he got head coaching interviews after CJ Stroud's rookie year, and then after he just fell off and they fired him. That's just the same guy. But that tells you how quickly things change. So he's an interesting name that I didn't expect to see. And he and Charlie Weiss Jr. are probably the two you didn't expect to see.
Yeah, they're not going to go Charlie Weiss Jr. They can't go down that road after what
I
happened.
woun't think so after what just went on.
And Mike Kafka, really?
Well, I wouldn't dismiss him out of.
I'm not dismissing him. I'm saying is that where we're going to go? I mean,
well, I mean, if you don't get Daboll, if you don't get McDaniel, again, then you're down to your second tier candidates probably.
Yeah, well, John,
and then it becomes.
I will admit, maybe I fall for the banana in the tail. Like, I don't know. That name just doesn't excite me at all to get this offense going. Mike Kafka. I mean,
any of them excite you? Really?
Not really. At least I'll feel a little better about Brian Daboll.
Like I said, the next guy is basically the next guy to get shit on is the next.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is what you're getting hired for, but that's part of the job. I mean, John, so you gave a power ranking, all right? Elliot Shore Parks put up a power ranking premise, and you bit on it as you tweeted out on X. Let's hear for the Birds 365 community what your power ranking for the OC job is right now. And maybe it's changed a little since you tweeted it because of the new names. You tell me. John, let's hear the power rankings right now for the Eagles.
Yeah, well, now I have to, because that was early before Slowick.
Yeah, right.
It didn't include Mike McDaniel because there's been no evidence of an interview yet. Just people saying the Eagles want to interview him.
Couple reputable reporters did put out they were interested. I don't know.
But there's no, like, he's been interviewing all over the place, and it hasn't been with the Eagles. So
I'm not coming to that offense. That's a shit show.
The only point is of the premise, and that's why you put me on the spot. I got to figure out where the hell I put it, but
little Monday morning on the spot, Johnny Mac, you can handle it.
Well, what I'm trying to say, the group was, here's the group, and this is how I'll use Elliot's first. Zach Robinson, who was the first interview, Jim Bob Cooter, Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka, Charlie Weiss Jr. So that's the five we were working with.
Right.
Of that five, to me, I'm different than Elliot. Clear leader is Daboll. Zach Robinson, I put 2, Kafka 3, Weiss 4, Jim Bob 5. And that's just my perception of what the Eagles would like, not necessarily what I would like.
Right.
I like the idea. I don't know one thing about Charlie Weiss Jr. Other than his father, but I like the idea of shooting for the home run and going for the young guy, innovative guy. But I don't think they can do that at this stage.
Right.
And then I think Brian's just the best coach of the rest of them. And he checks so many boxes for this team. Experience, he's done it before. He's worked with dual threat quarterbacks. He's worked with Jalen Hurts. He's worked with Saquon Barkley. I mean, what more could you possibly want? And he's good for, and he's a mentor of Nick Sirianni. So, I mean, and those two are friends. So it just makes so much sense to me. I can't get off Brian Daboll until the Chargers hire him. And then
maybe that'll happen. The Chargers might hire him. John, what do you think of the name Zach Robinson? You mentioned him as number 2. I mean, would that not excite you, but do you think there's a reason for excitement in the fan base if they bring in Zach Robinson? I'll tell you what, I don't feel it, but
he's a Sean McVay guy. So you'll see more motion. That will excite people. I'm stunned by him. Well, he doesn't. I got a question. Well, he doesn't use Daboll doesn't use motion. I'm like, what the fuck, guys? What that's all you're worried about? So you'll get the motion. I got a big problem with Atlanta from the perspective of they were the most talented team in that division for the past 2 years, and they didn't win the division for the
I
past.
know. Agreed.
And they got Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts and Drake London.
And they put the better quarterback on the bench. That's their fault.
Yeah, I don't know. And plus, I'm not as thrilled with the Rams' offense as other people are. I think it's very good, but I think it's very good because of the players. And I think you saw some of the limitations from what they were doing, trying to hand the game to Chicago last night. And plus, when you get too many people running the same thing, so that to me is also a problem with the Shanahan McVay group. Like you got too many people going in that direction, then it becomes who does it best?
Exactly. And then you have football like you saw this weekend with 48 turnovers in 4 games.
And you ain't doing it best, certainly the first year or two.
I'll tell you what, that list of 5 names. Now we've added a couple, but that list of 5 names. I mean, Dable, he's grown.
But I would say who would excite people. Like that's always the interesting part to me.
I don't know.
To me, the most I've gotten excitement about,
guys, it just feels like there's offensive guys everywhere you look. Mike Kafka, is that what we got? I mean,
but that's what I'm at. I'll ask you. I'll ask the people in the chat.
I'm not the expert. I don't know all the names, but I know there's guys out there that people are oohing and ahhing.
Well, because I think it's become a highlight scouting world, and there's the ups are tremendous. Like the Ben Johnson ups are so tremendous, and then you watch the games. If you watch 60 minutes of football, it's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing right here?
I think Caleb makes it. Caleb is a little inconsistent for that.
Well, the same thing with Sean McVay. It's like, dude, you got a chance to go to the NFC Championship game, and you're going in a shell with the one quarterback in this playoffs that you can trust.
I know, right?
Implicitly. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, man, it's weird. It's weird.
But yeah, so I think a lot of it is, like Ben again went because I think that was also sort of a pissing match between those two guys to prove who's the better guy. And you're throwing the tackle eligible, which worked last week, and this week the guy's wide open, but he drops the ball. You could have had an interception, pops up in the air.
Right.
It's like, dude, you didn't learn from last year with Jameson Williams putting the football in Jameson Williams' hand at the biggest spot of your season to throw it, not to catch it. That'd be smart. To throw it. And he threw the interception.
Yeah.
So I think people get caught up in the highlight world, the highlight scouting world. Wow, that was awesome.
How important is fitting the coordinator to the quarterback?
Oh, very important. Most important part of all.
Well, do you think people are wrong about the assumption that Jalen Hurts could run one of the West Coast offenses? I mean, you've heard some of these names be talked about, John. I mean, they are interviewing people, with that background. Is that something that you think fans are wrong, that it won't work here in Philadelphia? Do you think they should open it up and let Jalen? You used to say last year it was unfair how they shifted off of the way they played offense. Do you think that there is capability there to run that type of offense, or do you think they should avoid that at all costs?
I think there's 2 ways to look at it. The one way is forced evolution, and you're probably going to go through growing pains, or the way they've been doing it, which is just accentuate the strengths of your quarterback, which I think is the more logical way to go, especially when you remain a contender, and they should be a contender next year. I don't want to spend time breaking this quarterback down and rebuilding him.
Yeah, right.
I think that was a waste of time this year, and it was proven. Get him under center. All right, they got him under center.
Yeah, right.
Wasn't that good? So now, if you want to force evolution, and Jeffrey Lurie's got that history with Chip Kelly, I always make that comparison. Let's give this guy every inch to prove he can do it or he can't do it. And I think that was the worst decision of Jeffrey Lord's ownership. So I'm not a fan of that philosophy. And ultimately, I think that's where good coaches end up usually. You don't want a coach who's trying to pound a square peg in a round hole. Like Kellen Moore is the perfect example of that. Kellen Moore didn't run the Kellen Moore offense in Philadelphia. He tried.
Yep.
He didn't run it.
But that's where that week 4 thing comes in. Like, did they bail on it too early? Was it unfair, or should they,
Well, I think they could have done a better job balancing it, but it was always going to scale back. Now, obviously, it worked to such a great degree. I mean, once it started working to the level it was, there was no reason to go away from it. But I do think overall it was a little bit unfair, yes, to the quarterback. But I think you want more incremental evolution than just saying, no, you're going to be a Kyle Shanahan play action system quarterback. I think that's dumb. There's no evidence of that. Just, people's blind hope. Well, he did it against Minnesota.
Right.
And that's not to say, again, highlight scouting. We're not talking about the highs. Forget about the highs. Throw the highs out. Go look at the lows.
Exactly. Better to go off the lows and build from there.
Yeah. So
we'll see what ends up happening, Johnny Mac. We will see what ends up happening with this team. I'm sure we'll hear more interviews today or this early this week. In the process, we will see when do you think this thing will be done, John? Probably could take a little bit because the carousel, like you said, the people got to get hired. They're taking interviews all over the place. Obviously, everybody.
Well, it's starting to clear up. So you have to start making decisions if you're going to lose people you're really valuing. And again, I think at some point. That's got to happen pretty quickly. I don't think it'll last more than the next 2 weeks at the latest. Because
if Brian Dable to Philadelphia gets, if that's ultimately what it is.
Well, if he goes to the Chargers and McDaniel goes to the Bucs, well, then what are you doing?
Right.
Then you're already on your second level choices.
Now we're looking at Mike Kafka, folks.
Zach Robinson, Mike Kafka, yeah. Bobby Slowick, somebody like that.
Yeah, Mike Kafka is catching some strays for me this morning. I should, but whatever.
Well, he's got everything they he's got experience. He's called plays. He's been an interim head coach. So
if you lose the 2 guys you just mentioned and you're looking at more of the second level, that's where I'd go the younger guy with the more upside.
But I don't think they can because
I don't think they can either. But I mean, at the end of the day, you always say it. Who cares what everyone thinks?
Well, that I agree with.
If you have confidence, and somebody's going to be a good coach, then fucking go get him, man. I mean, just because he's a first-year coordinator doesn't mean he can't call plays. I mean, Kevin Patullo is clearly different, than what other people are. It's not like nobody has success as a first-year coordinator. So we'll see what ends up happening, Johnny Mac. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out with this search.
Yeah. Start your engines and prepare to shit on the next guy.
Yep. All right. We got 2 super chats and we'll get to Jeff Kerr this morning. Here's Miguel. What's up, Miguel? Look at this. This is our longest standing JAKIB member right here. Member for 43 months. I bet you half the people listening haven't even been listening that long. Look at that, Miguel. Thank you, brother. Good morning, fellas. I want Brian Dable bad. He's going to get in Jalen's face and coach him up. Jalen's been babied. Dable is the opposite, and John knows that.
No, well, I don't think Jalen's been babied. I don't think that's the problem. But I do think Brian checks a lot of boxes. You do have to have a good relationship with the quarterback. And people say, well, he benched Jalen Hurts. They have a good relationship.
Yeah, that was Nick Saban. That wasn't really.
They've had a good relationship for years. So if there was any animus, it's been smoothed over. So he knows, I think, how to utilize him. He's only spoke glowingly of Jalen Hurts in the past. So, I think he checks a lot of boxes other than, a lot of fans won't like him because he failed in New York.
All right, no doubt. John, a couple things I forgot to get to, and we'll get to them real quick. Though. I just want to reference them in the open. We'll talk about them, I'm sure, with Jeff, and then we'll talk about them a little bit when Jeff's out of here. But the one thing I wanted to mention here today, let me get it. I sent it to myself. I got to make sure I get this. I got this thing. All right, there was a little bit of confusion, I guess you could call it. Jeff McClain put out a report on who's leading the OC search. He originally put out Nick Sirianni will be a part of the OC search, but GM Howie Roseman will lead the process, and owner Jeffrey Lurie and his son Julian Lurie will be in interviews. Now, I don't know what you make of that. There's some clarification I saw you put up on X about that, so we got to get to that. We got to talk about that. And then also, John, right after our show on Friday, so we didn't have a chance to talk about this, Mike Silver of The Athletic put out a report that there's a sense inside the Eagles locker room that Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, and Jeffrey Lurie are reluctant to criticize Jalen Hurts despite being the source of much internal frustration from teammates. So I thought that was an interesting report. I wanted to talk to you about that. We didn't get to it in the open. We had to get the update on the OC search, but two relevant things there, Johnny Mac, that I think do deserve some talking around this Eagles team and this offseason. I'm sure it's the first of many stories that will be talked about.
Yeah, well, look, with the coaching search, I don't know. Nick Sirianni's in charge of ostensibly, is what I say. Howie's obviously in it. Jeffrey, Julian, yes, Alec Halaby occasionally, some few others. I don't know what Jeff said, but Jeff knows the Eagles better than anybody else, and I know he clarified it, which was at first he said Howie Roseman will lead the process. Then he said Howie Roseman will help as a big resource, but Nick Sirianni is technically leading the search and the interview process.
Yeah,
it's only my guess, but he got the call.
Yeah, he got the call.
Now, I pointed back, and when I did, because I asked, this same thing happened and when they hired Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio right before training camp. I think it was Diana, but it might have been somebody else who said basically, and I shouldn't have said her because I don't know if she did it. But I think she did it, which Howie hired Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. So, Howie talks the first day of camp. That was my question to him. I said, there's a report out there that you hired the coordinators. You both have talked about it because Nick was up there as well. You both have talked about the process in the past. What's the disconnect? And Howie gave, I think, the best explanation he's ever given to the process in Philadelphia. And I'm going to read the entire quote. Sorry, Jeff. You can bring Jeff up if you want.
Yeah, I'll get to Jeff.
And he started it by talking at the time, that was the Quinyon Mitchell year. So at the time he started talking about that. I'm like, what is it? I asked him about the coach. What is he doing? But he tied it all together. And he said, I think that anything that I'm assessing, I'm going over with coach. And I think those conversations are how we need to improve, blah, blah, blah. That was last week. I apologize. So when he was talking about personnel, he goes, I think our process of looking at our first round pick, and he was talking about Quinyon, I feel like myself, our scouts, we had great information on him. Obviously, he went to Toledo. Nick's college roommate is the head coach. Now he's at UConn, Jason Candle, but he was the head coach at Toledo at the time. When Nick came to me and said, hey, I got this information on Q, it made me feel much better about the selection that we already felt good about. And then Roseman shifted to the coaching staff, and he said, that's the same process for when we do coaches. Nick will come in and say, these are the guys I'm thinking about. Do you have any relationship? Do you know these guys? Obviously, I've been in the league a long time and had prior relationships with both of those guys. He was talking about Vic and Kellen. It makes him feel better about the decision he's making. That's how good organizations make decisions. At the end of the day, I'm responsible. Here's the key. I'm responsible for the players that I bring in here. Draft, free agency, trades, and he's responsible for the coaching staff. We work together. Right. He's responsible to the coaching staff. Right. Now, that can change at any moment.
Exactly. That's where I think the gray
and it's very layered because Jeffrey can put his foot down and say, no, I want this guy. But and this is another part, which no matter how many times you say it, no matter how many times you report it, nobody believes it. Nick Sirianni doesn't even report to Howie Roseman. He reports directly to Jeffrey Lurie. And Jeffrey does that on purpose.
Yeah, but you understand how that could be.
Well, that again,
with how many coaches now? You know what I mean? So that's why people get that.
Well, obviously, Jeffrey has a deeper, long-standing relationship. So if you wanted to weigh who he's going to trust more, yeah, he's probably going to trust Howie more. But he also, also stuck him in the broom closet. Yeah. People forget that. Yeah. So ultimately, it's very layered. But the setup is Howie's in charge of personnel. Nick's in charge of the coaching staff. Now, Howie's biggest role is often finding candidates that Nick interviews because he has a longer history in the NFL and he knows everybody.
Yeah, and they have a massive staff who can do the research as well, obviously, to help. Yeah. All right, John, real quick, let's get to Jeff, but I want to just your initial thought on that Mike Silver report that came out on Friday about Jalen Hurts.
It's not new. Yeah, a bunch of players don't like the offense. I think you can
what about specifically that the front? I mean, Nick Sirianni, Howie, and Jeffrey are reluctant to credit. That was the exact phrase.
Well, the thing I say about that is who criticizes their quarterback? Like who you think Houston is down there criticizing CJ Stroud?
I think they should be if they're not.
Well, they're not, but that's no offense. That's a fan base mentality. You don't rip your quarterback in public. A few people do. But that's not the
report here. The report's not that they're reluctant in public. I mean, the report is that they're reluctant, period, it sounds like. And that's what upsets players.
Well, I think that's people. The same as I think it's done that way on purpose, to be honest, because you can take the baton any way you want to take it. Do I think they're reluctant to hold him accountable? No. For bad plays, no. Will they protect him in public? Yes. Do players not enjoy playing in this offense? Yes. You saw one of them last night in the NFC Championship game, DeAndre Swift. He didn't want to be here. Didn't like it.
Yeah, interesting.
Philly guy. Didn't want to be here. Didn't like playing in the offense. Didn't take advantage of his ability as a receiver. So, I mean, the certain players, again, most notably AJ Devontae, but also Devontae, everybody's talked about it. Not exactly thrilled with the way they play offense, but that's not new news.
No, it's not. All right, good stuff there. Appreciate everybody for being here. Hit that like button. JD3, I'll get to your super in a little bit. Let's go to Jeff Kerr, set to join us. Jeff, sorry for making you wait, brother. We appreciate you doing it today. Let's bring him on now. You can follow him at Jeff Kerr, PHL. Jeff, fresh off the NFL divisional round, heating up in the Eagles offensive coordinator search. We already got off-season news about what's going on inside the NovaCare complex. A quick start to week number 2 of the NFL offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles. How you doing this morning, Jeff Kerr?
After watching the Patriots and the Bears games yesterday, how could anybody want football in the Dome?
Well, I agree with that. Yeah.
Jeff, I hope they don't do it, man. I mean, they're gonna, but I hope it doesn't get to a point where it'll take the soul out of the game a little bit. You know what I mean? The spirit of football, especially late. I agree completely.
I just thought it was awesome. Pregame at Soldier Field, I'm like, oh man, it's cold. Like that. This is the equalizer here. Yeah. Like the Rams have this high-powered offense. They should beat this team pretty easily. They obviously didn't. Like I thought it was going to be a good game, but. That is the equalizer to me.
I thought Sean McVay was the equalizer, but I digress.
Oh, yeah. That's true, too. But, he's a genius. But, I mean, look at Matthew Stafford. Look at him going into that overtime. As good as I thought he played late, I didn't think he played that great. he looked like he just was like, I gotta do this for another quarter minimum. Just look at him and Kevin Byard. You can just tell the body language. Everybody's crucifying Ben Johnson for going to overtime and not being aggressive. I said, you know what? The Bears had their chance to win. So I don't know why this is the conversation.
Yeah, well, interesting playoff for sure, Jeff. I'm happy you came in with what you came in with. I love that thought. I hope they don't get rid of.
I just saw that today on my feed, and I said, you know what? Why does everybody want glorified arena football so bad?
Yeah,
You could have kept.
Like we're that far, dude. Like if everybody who's got a stadium like that seems to be in talks to ultimately get a dome, basically.
Because they all want a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I get it.
they all want a Super Bowl. They all want a Final Four. They don't want that place vacant for pretty much 7-8 months of the year. And I get it from that perspective, but overall, I'm just not crazy about the dome thing.
No, I agree with that, but it's also, I don't know. Think about the change in overtime. Well, blah, blah, blah deserves to get the football. Shut the fuck up. It was fine. They spent 4 years trying to satiate people that don't matter. It's like, we're not curing cancer here. It's like you can upset some people and will upset some people. And you don't have to placate them.
I never had a problem with the initial overtime. I thought it was awesome. Sudden death.
It was tremendous. Oh, you can't let a coin toss decide the game. Well, a coin toss isn't deciding the game. As I pointed out, with Buffalo, because I think they kind of got screwed on the catch, but the game wasn't over on that play. They had a chance to. When you lose the coin toss, yeah, you're up against it and the old sudden death. Well, you can go out there and stop them. You can. It is allowed. It is not illegal to stop them. And yesterday, I was getting all ready, Jeff Kerr, to rip Sean McVay to high heaven about how conservative he was late in that game.
He was very conservative. I don't know why he didn't go for the win yesterday.
Caleb Williams bailed him out with a bad throw, a pushing it, young player. Hopefully he'll learn from it. They got another opportunity, and they won the football game. You can persevere. It's not illegal.
I didn't think this would gain as much traction as it did Saturday night, but I was watching Seattle, San Fran. I said early, like it was 10-0 early. Boy, did the Eagles blow a golden opportunity.
Oh my God. I don't know why everybody pushed back on me. That was a horrific loss.
I think I said what a lot of people were thinking. Yeah.
I find it hard to believe you got pushed back. I mean, who the hell would push back? That was a terrible loss.
But just that, San Francisco's got, because everybody's an offensive coordinator. Oh, they're scheming up things. No, they had a bunch of guys who shouldn't be out there playing, and you lost to them.
Yeah, and Kyle lost yesterday or Saturday, whenever their game was. I mean, that doesn't make Kyle a bad coach.
No, not at all.
Well, one of the debates that was going on my feed that I did not partake in because I didn't want to sound like a jerk or anything, but fans were like, well, the Eagles wouldn't have beat the Seahawks anyway. I'm like, you guys do know the Eagles wouldn't have played the Seahawks if they beat the Niners,
they
right?
The Bears, and they would have.
They probably would have beat the Bears. Yeah.
Now, would they go to Seattle? Probably not, but maybe the Rams knock off Seattle. Who knows?
I don't know that they beat the Bears in that game.
I think the two best teams in the NFC are in the NFC Championship.
I would agree with that.
I agree 100%. Yep.
Yeah, and you know what? That's going to be a great game. I cannot tell you who's going to win. My pre-playoff Super Bowl pick was Seahawks Texans, and if it wasn't for CJ Stroud, the Texans would probably be in the Super
Bowl. That was it.
It was almost like you got two teams. Now I don't want to say this because the Eagles obviously have the history that they do, but it almost felt like the AFC game on Saturday. Both teams got eliminated. Now, obviously, the Broncos are going to move on and play, but with the news of Bo Nix getting hurt right when the game ended, that's like both AFC teams, that potentially are cooked.
Yeah, the AFC team is losing the Super Bowl, whomever it is. I'm very confident the NFC champions.
I got to give a shout out to my former colleague Tracy Wolfson, because when she interviewed Nix, she asked him about the knee and about the lower leg, and he kind of brushed it off, and she noticed it.
Yeah.
And then, everybody's like, well, what's she talking about? And then all of a sudden, Sean Payton calls everybody back, and probably right after he got. By the way, that I know people are 50-50 on Sean Payton. I think that's pretty classy of him to bring everybody back and tell people that.
I agree. No, a stark contrast from the kind of
yeah, that wouldn't have happened here. I guarantee you that.
We wouldn't have found out till Tuesday.
Yeah.
How many turnovers were in that Patriots-Texans game?
Well, the Texans have 5? Stroud had 4 in the first. 4 interceptions. He had more interceptions in the first half than Jalen Hurts has had his whole postseason career.
CJ Stroud is legitimately horrible. They should go get Mac Jones. They'll be way better next year. He's horrible.
He was bad it overshadowed that Drake May was a strip machine. He was fumbling every 10 seconds.
Fumbles. He had like 4 fumbles in the game.
Yeah.
I covered the Ravens-Texans playoff game, CJ Stroud's rookie year, when Baltimore just absolutely crushed them. And I wrote a couple stories from that game. And one of them was, CJ Stroud had an impressive rookie year, he looked like in that game, like he saw a deer in the headlights. Like, I'm actually playing somebody. I'm actually playing a defense that can get after me, and I don't know what to do. And everybody's like, well, it's the offensive line. Well, it's this. He doesn't have this. I'm like, it's kind of him.
CJ, get back to work, brother. Don't be reading any more of them headlines, all right, from the rookie season. You got a lot. That was terrible.
That's a terrible offense.
He's been awful all year, too. I mean, that's one of the things we talked about.
Look how bad this guy was without Bobby Slowick, by the way.
It's true. Interesting you bring that up. Jeff,
they fired Bobby Slowick because he started the decline with Bobby Slowick.
Is it Bobby Slowick or is it the player? We'll find out. Jeff, let's get into that. Eagles offensive coordinator search is well underway. The list of 5 names we're working with right now, it's a little longer now with a couple new updates, but not all that intriguing to me. I know John is right. It's the next name to get criticized. You have the Mike Silver report on Jalen Hurts, reluctant to criticize front office, the coach, the GM, the owner. Wherever we want to start, Jeff, this offseason is off to a good start for the Philadelphia Eagles, or at least an entertaining start.
Oh, it's going to be entertaining when the Eagles get bounced early. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I saw that Tuesday, and a lot of people were saying what you said. Well, this is an underwhelming list. I'm like, well, who do you want?
Yeah, that's my question, because I get a lot of that too. Like, who do you like?
You don't like anybody.
Exactly.
I mean, look, like, isn't Mike McDaniel supposedly the top name? And you don't want him?
I think
a lot of people do want him
from fans because they don't necessarily know how to take it. I mean, we don't know what, at least fans, it feels like this. They don't know where the problem, like they put everything on the OC. So then when the new hire comes, or the potential for a new hire comes, they put this massive stock in it instead of looking at it like, what's the quarterback going to run? What's the head coach going to run? And I don't think that much is changing. I think you're changing out, one piece of the pie.
I think everybody's upset because they think it's going to be Nick's offense, and a lot of
people want to see schematics like Kyle and these other guys. And I don't think you're ever going to see
that's great. That's great. Kyle Shanahan still doesn't have a Super Bowl, and I like Kyle Shanahan.
He's a great coach. I mean,
there was a shit show of game management issues throughout these games over the weekend. There was a shit show.
But especially on the Shanahan McVay tree.
Yeah, exactly.
I said that earlier. Yeah. Major turnovers.
Remember in the NFC Championship game a couple years ago, the 49ers like to make the excuse Brock Purdy was hurt. Here's one for you. Why did Kyle Shanahan challenge the 4th and 1 that Devontae Smith caught early in that game? That amazing catch he had.
Wow.
I don't even remember that, but
look at Jeff going back to 2023 off the top of the dome.
I think there are problems where Hassan Reddick ripped his arm off on the third play.
By the way, how about the excuse train that came out of the 49ers on Saturday night? That's why no one likes that team.
I didn't really hear.
Oh, man. We had this guy healthy, and we had George Kittle healthy. We had this guy out. We beat that team. I'm like, you lost 41-6, boys.
Yeah, they got destroyed.
You were the best team at making excuses.
That Seahawks team, they're the best team in the NFL. Doesn't mean they're going to win it.
By the way, I'm happy for John's guy, Sam Darnold.
Well, Sam, by the way, you know what the most interesting part, Kyle talking about his Toradol shot. Did you see that?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Which is bad form. You're not supposed to talk about that stuff.
No. I was kind of shocked that was even brought up.
Yeah, that's what surprised me about. But I like when guys are honest. But I was just shocked by that. Not that I mean, yeah, I'm kind of torn because I know Sam can play. He's already proved he can play. The idiots who say he can't play. I mean, the guy's won 14 games with 2 teams back-to-back years. Now he's in the NFC Championship game. Obviously, he's got a good defense around him. Now, they didn't throw it a lot for 2 reasons. A, they were running through him easily, and 2, he shouldn't have been playing with the oblique injury. So I don't know what to think. They probably will win the Super Bowl, and people still say he stinks, but whatever.
I think people look at him with the Jets and the Panthers a little
Yeah,
too
they
much.
can't get over it. And they want to be right, and they decried him a bust.
I still say it's like that with Jalen Hurts. People just can't admit the guy that got benched for Tua in the national title game and basically got embarrassed. It might be good.
Yeah, well, that's fair. What do you make of the report on him from Friday about from Silver on the they don't want to criticize him inside.
Nothing that John McMullen hasn't said on here for 4 months, longer than that.
Yeah, as far as the players being.
Yeah, the player frustration.
Not the credit. I don't.
I feel like a lot of this stuff just all of a sudden comes out of the woodwork, and I'm like,
I don't know. I mean, John. To be fair though, John, because I know it's nothing to you, and I understand why. But John took a lot of shit this year when he called Jalen Hurts aloof. I mean, he took a lot. I still get the comments, and you see a report like that. In a way, it's kind of a verification that at the very least, somebody is walking on eggshells around the quarterback. Now, maybe John's right. Maybe that's true in every NFL city. But I did think that was an interesting report. I mean, who knows what to make of it. But
yeah, well, I'm not trying to placate Jalen Hurts fans. I mean, you have the group that, like yesterday, you saw Pacheco actually said, there's that great meme where it's like a little cartoon where it says, you go in there and make it about you.
Yeah.
And somebody turned that into the Philly. You go in there and you make it about Philly. It's like CJ Stroud had an awful game. If Jalen Hurts did that, oh my God. And I'm thinking to myself, what did anybody of any, I'm not talking about Texans fans, did anybody, any national media person carry water for CJ Stroud? All I saw was this was a horrific performance.
I've heard in the weeks leading up to this, CJ Stroud was going to be the reason the Texans would not go to the Super Bowl. And he really got slammed after the wild card game against Pittsburgh. Like, everybody did everything on the Texans but the quarterback. And they said, if he plays like that against the Patriots, they're done. And I didn't brush it off, but I was like, well, maybe he'll play better. And
if someone could point it out to me where some national media person said he played great, it's just this, it's just that. Yeah, I don't believe it. Same thing with guys turning over the football like Josh Allen and Caleb Williams and everybody turning over the football. Basically, I think every quarterback. Drake May.
How many turnovers were there collectively?
Oh my God!
4 games.
Oh, yeah.
Drake May was. I've never seen like Will Anderson is a great player, but so was Danielle Hunter. And that's a shame that that defense I think was the best defense. I think they're better than Seattle overall. And their offense is just shitty. They also ran for 17 yards, I think. Marks had like 14 carries for 17 yards.
Yeah, he got no help yesterday here.
But the Eagles fans making it about Jalen Hurts, like he's not playing. Nobody's talking about Jalen Hurts.
I always like to make a point, with fun stats. I'm like, okay, well, you can blame the Bills you can blame this guy or where this was a catch or where that wasn't a catch. I thought it was a catch, but Josh Allen had 5 turnovers on Saturday. Like, Come on, what are we doing here?
I agree. I mean, dude, if you don't want the game to come down to a call and a catch, then don't turn the ball over 5 times.
Josh Allen literally fumbled the ball before halftime, and they're trying to blame Sean McDermott. And I had to say, is it really Sean McDermott's fault? James Cook fumbles or Josh Allen fumbles?
That James Cook, the first James Cook, they were cooking, man.
They were.
No pun intended.
I was like, here we go.
As good as James Cook is, he is a fumble machine.
He has like 8 fumbles this year.
I mean, they were just gashing him. And I said, here we go, because I picked Buffalo to win that game.
Loose with the ball, man.
Yeah. You know what I've learned from this weekend? Like when I tweet fun stats, even if I got to put out a Jalen Hurts stat just for the heck of it, people hate facts, man. They just hate facts because they can't argue them. They can interpret them, but they can't argue them.
What are you referring to, Jeff? Don't make me have to put the puzzle together. Just give it to me straight.
You're probably part of the problem, Jeff, because you're out there igniting all the Eagles fans. Like everybody's saying CJ Stroud's playing a great game. And Jalen Hurts, we're all shitting on Jalen Hurts when he plays a poor game. No, we shit on both.
I just said, look, Josh Allen interceptions against the Broncos 4, Jalen Hurts in 10 playoff games, interceptions 3. But I got to hear every day one sucks.
That's a disingenuous stat. Come on, Jeff. You're igniting the people.
So is passing yards. You're
igniting the people. Who's a better fucking quarterback? Can we all be honest for 10 seconds?
I know Josh Allen's better than him.
Can we all be honest for 10 fucking seconds?
Oh, God.
If you could trade Josh Allen for Jalen Hurts as an Eagles fan,
I'm pretty sure
you don't
31
want to fucking
teams
do that. You're insane.
I wouldn't even think about it. Not even. It wouldn't even be a thought. Done. Deal.
Like why do people go down these routes?
Well, what's crazy about the whole Josh Allen thing is this is the first playoff game I actually remember him really contributing to his team losing.
I agree with that.
He was weeping.
Not
good. You want to criticize him for that?
Yeah. But look, like even when I think it's the Bills too. Like I know McDermott's a member of the competition committee. The whole whining about everything this team does. Every time they lose a playoff game, we didn't get the ball in overtime.
Well, you got to hold that same energy for the people of Philadelphia. Then,
yeah,
I got no problem because the whining never stops, even when they're not playing.
Philly fans, you can't make them happy. They're still crying about the Phillies. It's unbelievable.
That's
everything. But Sean McDermott's got to be more of a head coach in that situation. And
he's not. And I love Sean McDermott.
Right to I say, page 1, chapter 1. Control what you can control. We got a bad break. We still could have won the game.
I still can't get over and I've been on Chiefs radio stations. I said this. The Bills got overtime changed. You had the ball with I'm sorry, 13 seconds left. You were up.
Well, that was Sean McDermott. You got to be able to manage 13 seconds.
And you couldn't. You let Mahomes be Mahomes, and
you got to be able to manage
the Chiefs won that
13
game.
seconds. Which is why the game management part of it. Everybody's so obsessed with the play calling. The game management part of it is so much a bigger part. I
still say this as someone who only helps coach a high school team. 60% of the game is determined before the game even starts.
Well, that's true too.
People don't want to realize that because they can't see that.
We got a little news here. Eagles are going to bring in for an interview Bucks OC Josh Grizzard.
Oh, Josh Grizzard.
You mean the scapegoat for this year?
Yeah. He was the passing game coordinator there in 2024 when they were third in passing. I think that was with Liam Cohen, if I'm not mistaken.
They change every year.
Did you guys ever see the Baker Mayfield interview with Lindsey Theory from ESPN about his offensive coordinators and play callers?
No.
Lindsey asked him, can you name all your play callers? And he gets out both his hands. He's like, well, let's see. And we went to Cleveland. He's like, well, there's Cleveland. And it's really authentic. It's funny. And I don't think she thought that was the reaction she was going to get from him.
It does happen to other teams because now in a good situation, they lost Dave Canales to a head coaching job. And they lost Liam Cohen to a head coaching job. And then they had to bring in Josh Grizzard, who God bless Jordan Schultz.
Yeah.
Five games with Baker Mayfield looking like an MVP candidate.
Yeah,
Five fucking games.
I mean,
He's doing that. He's getting the agent tax. He's getting the next.
yeah, I hope he's getting a kickback for these texts.
You know what's funny? I don't think Jordan sees any of them because he's probably like me and like knows how to not see the mentions.
Yeah, well, who knows? Who knows what he's doing? Another name that's not going to.
You know something we missed last week, by the way? I don't know if you guys ever talked about
I
it.
hope the Eagles.
That whole Lynn Jones stuff.
Wait, what? What?
You know that Lynn Jones thing that happened last week in Jacksonville?
Oh, with the report.
Yeah, that blew up out of nowhere.
Well, of course it did. I mean, you know, I didn't have any problem with it, but I know the media hates
I don't care. I don't care. That's how I was.
I know there's an old school line of thinking about how to do that job.
Yeah, that's not the fucking way to do the fucking job.
I know. Like, I would have done it, but
no,
you know.
no. Go, hey, go off to the side and say that. There's a limit.
And you can do that, by the way.
People are working. There's a limited amount of time you have to ask the head coach about the game. That's what you're there for. Go do that off to the side.
I don't think people realize that. Like, I almost kind of want to start a podcast and like have like John and Ed Kratz and all. Like, this is what we do, by the way. I don't know if you guys realize what we do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't glaze the head.
Guys, we got Josh Grizzard, we got Jim Bob.
By the way,
this is a bad start to this OC search.
I would love Josh Grizzard to get the job, and they lead it off with Baker Mayfield. Looked like an MVP candidate
for 5 games.
September, yeah, he was September's MVP this year. Yeah. Oh, good. Guys, we're up to 7 names: Zach Robinson, Brian Dable, Jim Bob Cooter, Mike Kafka, Bobby Slowick, Charlie Weiss, and Josh Grizzard.
I'm bigger on Zach Robinson than a lot of people are.
Okay.
He's fine.
Michael Penix sucks.
Well,
sucks.
You didn't have to play him. You had a veteran. You won
the
division with the veteran.
And you know what? You played better with the veteran.
Yeah, they would have won that division if Kirk played and stayed healthy. Easily.
This is where I'll free Zach Robinson. Is it Zach Robinson's fault that the Falcons and all who's their GM? Fontenot?
No.
They fired their GM.
Whoever their old GM was decides to give Kirk Cousins 4 years, $180 million, coming off an Achilles injury because we suck and we need a quarterback in the worst way. You mean to tell me Kirk Cousins looked bad coming off 37 years old, coming off an Achilles injury? Yeah.
And then they drafted, a wild card.
And then they draft Michael Penix.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on.
You might as well draft John's boy, J.J. McCarthy.
Ooh, gosh. Yeah, it's tough there. That's tough.
Terry Font now.
Guys, this is I don't care how you want to slice it. This is an underwhelming coordinator search so far for this team. Sounds like a bunch of
I mean that's who it's same guys interview everywhere. There's no
I know.
Yeah. Unless you want to
who you want.
Right.
You know?
Hey, maybe somebody comes in and they got all the answers. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just saying after an underwhelming year.
This is what
I don't think any of these names are fixing what everybody had a problem with, whether they're right or wrong.
The whole mentality is a big groupthink party. And that's where I think the Eagles are ordinary. I say it all the time, and that'll piss people off, but they're no different than anybody else. They interview off the same list that everybody else has. Now, occasionally, Nick Sirianni, perfect example, and maybe it'll go off script and hire somebody that everybody else isn't. Charlie Weiss, that's where Charlie Weiss would come in. But they're like everybody else. They got the same list.
I was joking. Nick should have brought in Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. When Josh McCown retired at first, I said they should make him the offensive coordinator right off the bat.
Don't you think it's weird? Like, I thought McCown would be an offensive coordinator by now.
Yeah, so did I. I think he'd be a head coach by now. But, when you have a J.J. McCarthy year, you get derailed pretty quickly. Look at Bobby Slowick. Perfect example.
He
was getting head coaching interviews all over the place. And then CJ had a bad year and he's done. He's out. He's fired.
That's the risk you take sometimes when you stay.
Yeah.
Strike the Iron Man's hot. Like
No.
like Nate Schillhouse. Nate Schillhouse is a hot name. I don't know why no one's interviewing it. Probably because the Rams are still in it.
Grant Udinsky. He's the big name. He's the next Sean McVay.
Well, he's 30 now, right? They turned
Yeah.
30 yet?
He's with the Jags, right?
Yeah, he's the offensive coordinator of the Jags.
Wow, that'd be crazy.
I'm telling you, the name.
Would that be the youngest head coach in history?
Yeah, he's a little bit younger than McVay.
McVay was
so
what?
He's got to get it. He's got to get it this year. No, he was 32.
So the name I would want to be a head coach right now if I was looking for these teams. Now that Harbaugh never gone, Anthony Campanelli. That's the name I would want. I want Anthony Campanelli to be my head coach, and I think Baltimore interviewed him. I think they're the only team that did interview him.
Can I ask why?
I think he's a good defensive mind. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a leader.
Well, I'll tell you what. That's the biggest theme of the defenses have clearly passed the offenses in this league, and people better figure some shit out on the offensive side because they're all shit shows. Even the good offensive teams are shit shows.
Has it become easier just in the sense that the quarterbacks aren't as good at reading, the defenses as they used to be?
Well, that's part of it. I mean, there's a lot
of it.
They don't learn anything in college. It's a massive problem. And John, you always talk about it. The NFL the football is a trickle up business, and now the whole pipeline of players has the same problem. So it's not getting any better. And if the defenses can just keep disguising their coverages, confusing them post snap, they're going to keep winning. They're going to keep beating these quarterbacks and these offenses. At least that's how I feel to me.
My personal belief, I've been talking about this for a few years, is the unintended consequence of all the shifts towards the offense from a rule standpoint created defensive guys who said, boy, the old mentality, you either get the quarterback or get to the quarterback. So meaning the pass rush. And they just unleash on these fucking guys. And the habit guys are the Flores types. Man, they just come at you. And when it looks bad, it looks bad because they can't get comfortable, the quarterbacks. You saw it with CJ Stroud. By the way, how good is Milton Williams?
Confusing.
Milton Williams is a stud.
How good is Milton Williams?
And by the way, Milton's right. No one talks about the Pats defense at all.
If I was looking for a quarterback today, give me the smartest mother effer I can find. Who's got the skill set that you need? Doesn't even have to be the best skill set.
So Mac Jones.
Exactly right. I think Mac Jones would slice and dice in the right offense with an offensive line that can block and receivers that can catch. I think he would slice and dice. If the game is legislated for the offense and the defense is continuing to find ways to evolve, which John talks about, which they have done, the only thing they're changing is, all right, if we can't get to them or we're legislated, to make it harder to get to them, we just got to confuse the shit out of them. We got to make them have no idea where to go with the football, what we're going to do in coverage, how we're, changing our post-snap coverages. That's what they're doing. These quarterbacks have no idea what they're looking at.
As good as Matthew Stafford is, and by the way, he's really good. Look what the Bears were able to do to him last night.
Sure.
And what they do, they blitzed off the cut. They made him uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And Dennis Allen isn't even a blitz guy, and he's blitzing.
No, he's not.
Kyler
You know
Gordon
when he switched, John? I noticed this.
Yeah.
I noticed this when Dennis Allen switched. The second half last week, because nothing was working in that first half against the Packers, and Dennis Allen goes, well, I'm just going to do a 180, and he kind of rolled with it this week, and it works for him.
Yeah, it worked. I thought it was
and the weather helped. I mean, let's be honest.
No, well, yeah, but that's equalizer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, by the way, that's why you play for 2 home playoff games, Nick.
Good shot, Jeff. Didn't matter.
They reap what they sow.
They didn't win their first.
They didn't win the first one.
I know, but that's why you play for the best possible situation. They didn't do it.
They would have gotten destroyed by the Packers too. They might have lost.
If they couldn't beat that 49ers team, they weren't.
Well, that's it, and that's where I do agree with a lot of fans. I don't think it mattered who they were playing in the first round.
That was the worst team on the NFC side, the 49ers. I mean, only because of the injuries, but the injuries happened.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm the Eagles, I'm going to Vic Fangio and I'm saying, man, it's an open checkbook. Don't retire. Please don't retire because we need you. we need you on our defense because that's what we're going to need. We're going to need a great defense every year.
Well, Vic's not retiring again. But
Yeah.
he's 67. You know, you got to worry about health at that point.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Johnson passed away at 68. That was young.
I'll give him $15 million to be my defensive coordinator. Don't go anywhere, man.
And it still bothers me to this day, Zander.
Huh?
Still bothers me to this day. Jim Johnson's last game was that blown fourth quarter against.
By the way,
it sucks.
I heard somebody ask, a media outlet ask, and I yelled at myself for spending 10 minutes to get dumber. The question was, do you believe the new offensive coordinator will report directly to Jeffrey Lurie? Or Howard
No.
Westman? Of course
No.
not. I mean, these people are fucking insane. What? But that's the perception. We started talking about the coaching and how they do the coaching.
Yeah, but they do, John. You do have to give credence that the Eagles do run a different ship than most. You know, a lot. Yes, most teams, and Jake Rosenberg even put this on Twitter or X. Most teams in the NFL have the setup where the GM and the head coach report to the owner. I'm not talking about that. I'm more talking about a lot of teams feel as though the head coach is the leader of the on-field operation, that the team on the field. There is not an offensive coordinator in this league that doesn't report to the head coach. The Eagles fired Doug Peterson because they were like, we're the reason for our success. And they were right. They put a new coach, new quarterback.
Yeah, but and the entire Doug Peterson era, the offensive coordinator reported to Doug fucking Peterson.
I'm not saying it's not offensive coordinator. What I'm saying is the Eagles organization operates that the owner and the GM are the most important components of the organization. That wasn't the Patriots.
Yeah, well, that's the perception. That's what I'm trying to fight. No matter how many times I tell people, and it's been this way for I don't know.
For 15 years. For 15 years. Since Andy Reid's been gone.
For at least that 15 years. The coach reports to the coach and the GM. And you're right, it's post Andy Reid. The coach and the GM are separated and are on the same level and report to Jeffrey Lurie. Now, does Jeffrey trust Howie more? Yeah, he's been around more. But it doesn't mean that the offensive coordinator is reporting to Howie Roseman.
No.
What a fucking shit show that would be.
Oh,
Howie would be the first one to tell you that.
That would never happen. I think the bigger.
Well, that's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
this is the perception of people.
Well, people were flipping out over Jeff McClain's podcast this weekend because Jeffrey Lurie was going to fire Nick Sirianni and they were 2-2 last year. I'm like,
I don't think podcast. It illustrates my point. The Eagles don't feel like the coaches are the reason for their success. They feel like their philosophy, their ownership, and their general manager are the reason. They're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying, though, you look at other teams, that's not necessarily the build. Sean Payton is managing the team in Denver. The ownership doesn't look at that and say, all right,
you know what, Zander, to add to your point.
Wait, let me finish, Jeff. Let me finish. We can hire somebody if Sean Payton wants to hire his own quarterback. We can fire Sean and have the same level of success. Most organizations do not operate that way. The Eagles do. Doug Peterson wants his own coordinator? Nah, get out of here. New coach. You want to hire that? Nah, not doing that. You want to make this move? Nah, not that. The front office runs this team more than most teams, it feels like to me. And they're right.
I don't know. I mean, there's not a front office that doesn't run the team. I mean, obviously they run the team. It's a matter of what the setup is, I mean, Denver, gave Sean Payton a lot of power. Why did they give Sean Payton a lot of power? Because they went through a decade of shit show. And they're trying to get somebody, and it's worked early on. We'll see if it works.
And George Patton knows how to draft. So, but he takes Payton's input into that.
Okay, well, there's 4 teams left in the playoffs. Sean Payton, Mike Vrabel, Sean McVay, and Mike McDaniel. Do any of those teams feel like they operate like the Eagles would, where they can rotate out the coach, the ownership, and the general manager are going to
Seattle can do it.
Well, because Mike McDaniel's newer, but I mean, we'll see. I don't know.
But look, John Snyder's a really good GM. I think people are finally starting to realize how good of a GM John Snyder is.
That's a good team he's assembled. There's no doubt.
And he's done this before. He's GM of 2 teams that went to the Super Bowl. 1-1.
Yeah. Well, and that was a big, like, who was in charge in Seattle for years? Was it Pete Carroll or John Snyder? Well, they worked at, like, people have a really difficult time, and I get it. Like, and that's why I read the quote from Howie back then. Like, people have a really difficult time believing people can work with each other and help each other.
That's
because
they can't work with people, so no one else can.
But there's a hierarchy. There just is. And John, I know you're right. All right, the coach and the GM.
Well, the hierarchy is what the hierarchy is.
I know, but John,
on paper,
perception is going to change when the GM has been here through 4 coaches.
Well, perception has never changed.
How do you not see that? I mean, the GM never gets fired. So they might both report, but clearly one has a leg up on the other. They were going to fire Nick after 23. Were they going to fire Howie too? No way.
They demoted Howie.
No way.
Yeah, they did demote Howie once.
Yeah, what?
So for all the people, look, Jeffrey Lurie's more consistent than most. But for all the talk that he won't do this and he won't do that, he demoted him already. Joe Banner was his childhood best friend. People said the same shit about Joe Banner for years.
He got rid of Joe Banner.
I'm not criticizing him. I just think it's a different setup.
My point is, this is a guy who will eventually move on from everybody,
even Howie,
including Howie. And
they moved on from Andy Reid.
They moved on from Andy Reid. But for people that don't believe that. And at Jeffrey's age, for similar, because Jeffrey's 72 or whatever, guess who's coming down the pike? Julian Lurie.
Yeah, Julian's
he's going to be even worse.
Well, I remember.
Well, the kid tends to not be as good as the father in sports. I mean, look at Hal Steinbrenner from my Yankees.
And he's going to be more involved, and he's going to be less successful.
Look at the Seahawks. Like, they had a contingency plan for Paul Brown.
74, by the way. 74.
Remember he was 44 and bought this team?
Doesn't that illustrate the point, though, guys? Coaches get fired. Doug Peterson wants to hire Press Taylor 3 years after the Super Bowl. He's fired. Howie Roseman has a string of awful. They put him in the broom closet for a couple of years, and they let him right back in.
1 year. 1 year. That's where he traveled the world.
This is a difference. Now, look, here's the thing.
He got a pay raise and a worldwide vacation.
Exactly.
But they took this power away.
The league is getting bigger, so teams are more they're like Fortune 500 companies now. I mean, these things are worth $15 billion.
Well, they are Fortune 500. The Eagles are a top 10.
That's what I mean. So they're bigger. It's not what they once were, but I do think it's an interesting setup.
Look, it's very layered, and yes, you are right, and people are right. Where they are right is that he trusts Howie more.
And he should.
I'm just telling you the setup. The setup, and people can argue all they want, the setup, Nick Sirianni does not report to Howie Roseman.
He reports to the owner.
Yeah, I agree with that is well understood. Here's my question. Does Jeffrey Lurie believe he is more responsible for the Eagles' success, let's say the Super Bowl last year, or Nick Sirianni is more responsible?
No, I don't think he's Jeffrey. I don't think he's that. And I don't know him well enough. I mean,
I still say,
can I get rid of Howie or can I get rid of Nick? Doesn't the evidence point that he obviously thinks that one of the things is a lot more important?
One of them's easier to have continuity. Like to me, the most disappointing part, my thing's going haywire.
Yeah.
The most disappointing part.
Stupid green screen, just 20 steps. You got to be able to get this thing better.
The most, for a team that considers themselves forward thinking, all that kind of stuff, they're very ordinary. They're like everybody else when it comes. You see it in every city. All right. Now, you see it more, GMs get fired too, but it's easier to stick with the GM for a few years longer. People are still impatient. The Eagles are far more impatient than most, far more patient than most. But it's easier to stick with the GM because they're not as front facing as the head coach or even the offensive coordinator. And the coordinators, there's such turnover at offensive coordinator in this league. So people say, you got to keep a guy for 5 years. Who stays for 5 years? What's the longest standing offensive coordinator, Jeff?
Honestly,
typically it used to be if you have great success, the head coach is a big part of that. You know,
he's always a big part of it.
I don't think the Eagles really, not that they don't believe he's a part of it, but that they believe if they're changing a piece, it's the head coach. It ain't the GM. It ain't the.
I still think a lot of people here are spoiled because Andy Reid got that, Brad Childress for as long as he did, Steve Spagnuolo as long as he did, Ron Rivera as long as he did, Jim Johnson as long as he did. And until the Eagles finally got bounced early or didn't make the playoffs, that's when Spagnuolo left. That's when Rivera left. That's when Childress left for jobs. Leslie Frazier. They all left for jobs. But when they were making these deep playoff runs, you couldn't touch them because you couldn't hire a coach by then.
If you take the names out and just ask me who's more responsible for a Super Bowl winning team, the head coach or the GM, I'm going to lean towards the head coach 90% of the time.
Agreed.
I would agree with you too.
I don't think the Eagles think that way. I agree with you. I do not think the Eagles think that way.
Well, the best example, because people like and value Vic Fangio, like Howie Roseman clearly had a vision for Zach Bond. Vic Fangio got a hold of him and said, "Yeah, I don't think so. He's an off-ball linebacker." You go back to Bryce Huff. Howie gave Bryce Huff $51 million. Vic was like, "Yeah, he's not a fit for me."
And he was a solid player in San Fran this year.
Yeah. If you go even to Jahad Campbell, listen to Howie Roseman.
I think you're illustrating the point I'm trying to make is how important coaches are. I don't think the Eagles think like that, though. I really don't.
Why? I think they think it more than you think they think.
I mean, they fired Doug Peters and Wick. They were next year.
Well, that's again.
He's on the fucking hot seat. 20 won a bowl less than a calendar year ago.
25% of this league changed head coaches.
Yep, and it's insane.
Yeah, and more than half of them are.
It is so because they're the guys getting shit on every week, and at some point, the Eagles don't think Kevin Petula is a bad football coach. I can tell you that with 100% certainty.
So
they had to move on from him.
Have some balls and keep them.
But they had. Well, I agree with you, but that's not the reality.
Yeah, you know what, Xander? I'm going to change this to another team I cover, the Phillies. The Phillies kept their guys, right? They're getting shit on too.
What's the old trope? If you listen to the people in the stands, you'll be sitting with them soon.
Yeah, you'll be sitting with them. Yeah,
I agree. Never learn. But the Eagles are not. Again, 25%, more than 25. It's up to 9. Who knows? Maybe McDermott gets fired.
Well, when we only had 5 last year.
Got fired. They just fired Sean McDermott.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Did they fire him? Oh my God!
I just said that
2 minutes ago. Correct.
Yes. No, I hate when people lose their jobs, but I just said if Sean McDermott gets fired, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. As I just said.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If I'm the Eagles,
that is
Joe Brady. I'm giving you a call right now.
Now, granted, this year's worse than most. That is 10 of 32 head coaches.
And by the way, John, I got my prediction right. I said last year, I wrote in a column for CBS, we had 5, and I said, I bet it's double next year. We got 10.
That is a big number, 10. These teams have no patience. They have no ability. To your point, it's easy to say, and I agree with you, Zander. Don't listen to the outside noise. It's such a public-facing industry. They can't handle the heat, and the Eagles are no different than anybody else. So to say they're going to move on for the head coach quicker than that's every city. That's not unique. That's where the Eagles are ordinary. They are ordinary. They interview the same guys. They have the same mentality. They do the same shit. Everybody's operating off the same list every year.
Okay, John, do we think, because I said when Harbaugh, if he was let go, Stefanski was let go, they get jobs right away. Do we think McDermott's on that
Kind of
list?
late in the process, but I do think people will
I think he
change
gets a
their
job if he
thinking.
wants it.
Is Stefanski sure he wants that Atlanta job? I think that
Oh, a
goes
ton of
there.
talent there. I'd
Oh
take that
yeah,
after being in
I like that
Cleveland.
fit.
Yeah,
I
I
like
guess
that
over
fit.
Buffalo. Then there's
Yeah,
Did
you
you
don't have a
read the
quarterback.
stories of like how Arthur Blank like wined and dined him for like
Yeah.
2 hours and said, "Yeah, I want to make you the head coach of this."
So are
team."
the Bills going to fire their GM too, or are they going to keep him?
No, Brandon Bean always gets a pass.
You see what I'm saying though? Like the around the league, it looks different to the whether the perception's right or not. That's fine. You can argue.
Talking to
You
a
see
lot of
what I'm
Bills
saying? The
fans-
coaches are the public facing. They get cut first.
I agree. That's fine. I see what you're saying.
Talking to a lot of Bills fans, they went from McDermott can't do it. This is over the last 3 years. McDermott can't do it too. Boy, Brandon Bean really doesn't give McDermott much to work with.
By the way, Sean McDermott's father's a big listener of Birds 365. If you're listening, sorry your son got fired. We'd love to have you here in Philly.
I love Sean McDermott. Again,
That
Reid,
is weird.
Andy
That
Reid
is weird.
trade.
I just said if Sean McDermott gets fired, and
Yeah, you said earlier in the
I
show, it's
just
like,
saw it.
God,
I didn't want to
are you
interrupt him.
foreshadowing?
yeah. Now,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
I don't like when anybody gets fired.
Sean McDermott's awesome, by the way. I still hate how he was the scapegoat here.
I think he should have. I get why he was upset. I thought that was a catch too, but you got
Who-
to.
who-
You know what I think really feels bad? McDermott's a scapegoat. Was the scapegoat here? David Akers, because he missed 2 field goals in that game. I think I remember Akers say, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think he
Well,
said,
Sean
yeah,
had a
well, if I
long
make this
run.
field
I
goal.
mean, most people don't get the run that Sean McDermott got there.
Yeah, I think they're feeling like the window with Josh Allen. They want, I don't know.
They're probably going to just elevate Joe Brady.
But I'll tell you, it's really hard for me. Like, if I'm thinking the Bills, you were so bad before this guy showed up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now you
People
got
forget.
and all of a sudden you're winning 10, 11 games a year, and it's tough to make a decision like that. I don't think I could do it. I'd be like, look, we're there. We might break through, but I always thought that of Andy Reid too. Like, someday you're going to break through.
Yeah, I do believe in shelf lives. That's the one thing.
Andy,
Because
it is
when
like
you're
14.
when you're in a leadership position, sometimes people stop listening if they hear the same thing year after year. Nick talks about that all the time. You have to find different ways to get your points across because the people that have been there will start tuning out.
I think Nick's really good at that, by the way.
But he also says, part of being a good coach is repetition. So it's difficult.
Yeah, it's like
you got to preach the
right
same
in the
shit.
middle. Especially with, I think this is a factor as well. Everybody's highly paid in this industry, which, has its pros, but it also creates complacency in some people. It creates environments where they're all grown men. They all make a lot of money. They're all professionals. Keeping the ear of everybody is harder in that environment than an environment where everybody's hungry to get the next deal or to make it in life, something like that. So
this league stinks from the standpoint of individuality and individual thinking and thinking outside the box. And to your point of, show the courage of your conviction. Like if people think like we're having this discussion about the Eagles, if people think the Eagles operate that way, then they should fire the head coach.
Dude, if I owned this team, and I never would, but if I owned this team, I would come out and say, I know you guys all want to fire the coach. We know what we're doing. All right. We have a couple Super Bowl appearances in the last couple of years.
I'm with you.
We're not firing Kevin Patullo. I know you all think he's problem number one. We have other solutions we're going to implement. And now, if that's what they wanted to do, I don't know if that's what they wanted to do, but I would stick to what I want to do and say, everyone,
I get Zander.
shut the fuck up and get on board. Okay, we've been very successful. We know
I'd love
this.
I'd love to see Jeffrey Lurie say, "Shut the fuck up." I don't think.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
No,
but by the way, Zander, this is where I think times have changed too. Because when the Eagles had Andy Reid and Joe Banner, and even in Roseman's, like before Roseman came to power, they basically said after 2009, we are not firing Sean McDermott. That's not happening. He's our coordinator. And then public pressure, they came. But then again, Howie took over. Oh, he's the problem. And then all of a sudden,
forget how disliked Howie was at one point.
He made. Andy Reid once made Juan Castillo an offensive line coach, a defensive coordinator, and for some reason, Howie let that go.
Well, but isn't that a perfect example? Howie Roseman, who did not make good decisions, who did not make good draft picks, who did not sign good contracts early in his career, they stick around with them. They show the courage of their convictions. They keep them in the building, and now he's one of the best GMs in football.
I would argue he's the best.
I think he is.
Oh yeah.
But
if John Schneider gets one, there'll be some competition. Gets another one. But I think.
But that the Juan Castillo thing, because it worked. It worked horribly. Obviously, did not work horribly. That is not that rare, by the way. Guys who coach one side of the ball and go to
and they go to the other. Oh no, it's happened a bunch of times.
In fact, NFL. Really, really well-rounded coaches do that purposefully early in their career. Nick coached defense and one.
Yeah, I was going to say the head coach of the Eagles coached defense at one point.
Yeah, Bobby Slowick coached defense with the 49ers before he moved to the offensive side of the ball. It's not that rare. Now to do it at that level.
That's where it was. It was that high profile. And I remember I'm like, wait a minute, Juan's a really good offensive line coach. I know he coached defense at one point in his life, but I'm like, boy, that's a swing.
Yeah, to do it at that high level is but it happens all the time.
Which is why I give Nnamdi Asomugha as big of a pass as I do, even though it's a terrible contract. Like, what if he actually had an actual defensive coach that fit in the system? If that contract was worth it.
Yeah, or what if you got the player you signed when you thought you were?
But let's make a big deal about him eating lunch in his car. I remember saying, I eat lunch in my car at work. I don't know what people are talking about.
Yeah, I'd like to get rid of him.
Here's what I know. He was a damn good player when they signed him. He wasn't a damn good player when he came.
He was great man coverage, and then they put him in zone. I'm like,
put him in zone, yeah.
I'm like, this ain't gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
DRC was a good player.
That's to use Nnamdi. Yeah, he was a good man guy, and they tried to play a lot of zone with him. It does matter. Again, square peg, round hole. It does matter how you use players. To Bick's point about this is what Zach Vaughn is. This is what Jihad Campbell is.
DeAndre Swift, you mentioned earlier. They did not. You did not use him to his full strengths.
So it is a point, but that's why I say be careful what you wish for with the quarterback. For all the people saying he can do this, he can do that, and you want to stick him in a Kyle Shanahan offense, be careful what you wish for.
Am I the only one who kind of likes Jalen the way he is? I
don't know why you wouldn't like him the way he is. Now, do you want certain things to improve? Obviously.
What do you mean, Jeff? Elaborate on what you said.
Like, look, I wish he'd run more. I don't need him to be this. He needs to throw up, with precision over the middle all the time. I don't think he needs to be Matthew Stafford. You know what I mean?
No, but how big of a reason is he for the offensive inefficiency? The fan base thinks it's all Patullo. I don't
think it's all Patullo.
No.
I don't think it's all Patullo. I think part of it's Jalen.
Needle is my point.
I think part of it's Jalen. I think part of it's the offensive line. I think part of it is
fix the fucking running game. That's what I'm doing.
Fix the running game. That's what I'm with you.
You need a lot to be right in this Eagles offense the way it's built. I mean, you need a lot to be right.
I mean, what a Super Bowl last
year. You need a great offensive line. Newsflash, look around the league. Your offensive line's not going to be great every year. Your running game's not going to be great every year. It's hard to maintain those things. This is why people want the type of quarterback that they want.
I'm not talking.
The most ability to be successful with changing circumstances. That's
you can't be as successful. I'm not talking about 2,000 yards. I'm talking about DeAndre Swift level success. I'm talking about Miles Sanders level success. That's all I'm talking about.
It's fun.
I mean, look. Brian Johnson wasn't
year, right. I mean,
look, they ran for a lot of yards under Brian Johnson too.
Yeah, they were a great running team since 2021. 2021 they were, 2022, 2023, 2024.
Takes a toll. You're gonna
even in the Doug era.
Yeah,
they were a good running team.
Yeah, for a long time. Last year they weren't,
and I think part of it is. The offensive line was banged up, and they didn't have the depth on the offensive line. They had to cover it up.
Interesting comment here. What do you guys think? You can be successful with Hurts, but not because of Hurts.
I don't know what that means.
What do you mean? You can build a team around him if you got the pieces around him, but he's not going to be the catalyst for your success. Like
the guy's won 69% of his games.
Because the team is great. What about Patrick Mahomes?
That's
what about Josh
bullshit.
Allen? Jeff,
It's
no,
a
it's
team
not.
sport.
Jeff,
It's a team
not
sport.
bullshit. What he's saying is other teams can be built around the quarterback. Josh Allen, he's the only reason that team is in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes, who takes
That's not true. The Bills had the number one defense in the NFL for 5 years, from 2021 2025. The number one defense is the Buffalo Bills. Look it up.
All right, is your assumption, or are you saying that you think that Jalen Hurts is a catalyst for the success in the same way that Josh Allen is?
Yes.
Really?
They win games because of Jalen.
You think
He'll turn the ball
Jalen Hurts
over.
is the catalyst for success in Philly to the same level that Josh is in Buffalo? Am I understanding that correctly?
They win games because of their quarterback. They win games because their quarterback doesn't turn the football over. If their quarterback turned the football over as much as Brock Purdy did last week, you lost by 15.
All right.
I think Jalen Hurts helps the Eagles win games more than the average NFL quarterback.
I agree with that.
And that's a fair comment.
Josh Allen, no. Josh Allen can pull shit out of his ass.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams can pull shit out of his ass. That level, but you don't want that. You don't want to you don't want to count on that. But they can pull a magic trick out of the hat. But that's not sustainable.
You can have quarterbacks that are the catalyst, Jeff. I don't know what you mean. Like the Kansas City Chiefs get rid of every receiver that anybody even knows their name. And
nobody should be comparing Jalen to Patrick Mahomes
or Josh Allen for that.
But he outplayed him in the Super Bowl.
But they win games. But you're acting like this quarterback doesn't do shit, and that's what I'm getting tired of.
I'm not. No, absolutely no, I am not. What I'm saying is you need a lot more around him to be perfect.
So why is it in the ultimate team sport you need to have everything around him for him to win? That's bullshit too. Like, I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of the way we measure stuff around here.
No, that's not what
Jalen Hurts is 150 passing yards. He's not any good.
Different style of player, you can have more fluctuating variables and maintain success.
The guy makes $50 million a year to play quarterback. He's the only quarterback to make $50 million a year and win a Super Bowl. The only one.
All right. So
Patrick Mahomes has never done it yet.
All I'll say is no quarterback has won a Super Bowl without a good supporting cast.
I don't know. You can make an argument. Mahomes went with he's throwing the ball to Juju Smith-Schuster to win a Super Bowl.
Well, what about his offensive line? What about his defense?
He had Joe Tooney, Trey Smith.
Yeah, Joe Tooney's again. He happens to be on a team that's in the divisional round of playoffs on the crux of making.
Okay, if you want to make the case that the pieces around Mahomes are similar, I don't see it that way.
Well, at times they were similar.
Chiefs had a great defense last year until the Eagles smoked them, but people don't realize that.
Travis Kelce's one of the best tight ends of all time. At times he had Tyreek Hill early in his career, who was the best receiver in football. Then they did it a different way, yes, and they did it with more of a collaborative approach when it came to the skill positions, but they always had the Spagnuolo defense that everybody loved. They had good players, Kansas City.
Sammy Watkins is a good player for them.
I know, but again, we go to the extreme.
Creed Humphrey's the best.
Good players. I'm saying
Creed Humphrey's the best center in football.
Pretty drastic.
Creed Humphrey's the best center in football.
Orlando Brown was a good player for them.
All right, you guys aren't getting my point.
Joe Thuney. No, I'm saying no quarterback has won a Super Bowl with a shitty supporting cast. It cannot happen.
Well, yeah, you're going to have pieces, but certain quarterbacks can
why we act like the Bills
more than
the
others.
Bills only have Allen? Like they have Deion Dawkins, they have James Cook, they have Christian.
Well, every
Ben.
NFL team.
They have AJ Espinoza. They have good players.
Well,
Jordan Phillips is a really good player for them. Matt Milano.
Who's more important?
Just because people don't watch this team every week doesn't mean they're not good.
Eagles have been one of the most successful organizations in the last 5 years. Is Jalen Hurts more responsible for that than Howie Roseman?
I don't know. I think it goes hand in hand. He drafted him.
Yeah. No. Come on. He's on the fucking field. I mean, Howie would be the first one. Yeah, what are you talking about? He's on the fucking field. Like people really do think it's just fucking maddening. I'm going to pick this player, and I'm going to pick this player, and I'm going to jockey. I'm going to have my.
I don't think that's it.
They're on the fucking field. It's always players first. Players.
Players win games. Players lose games.
And how he assembled the team. I mean, John, you talk. How many times have you talked about what that defense did in the Super Bowl?
Hey, man, there's great potential, and Howie does a great. I just called him the best general manager in football.
Yeah, I agree.
He'd be the best first one to tell you, man. You gotta have players performing in a fucking.
I agree.
I
think Jeffrey Lurie sees it differently. I think he's like, ain't no way. I'm keeping Howie before I keep.
I will remind you that they made this guy the highest paid player in the history of football when they signed. Right, and it only lasted for 10 days. He makes $50 million. They know his value to the organization. At times, or is it wavering? Yes. Now, yes, I would say it is a little bit.
Yeah,
because this
wavering on Howie.
Well, from a player standpoint, this game moves a hell of a lot faster than from a GM standpoint. Howie doesn't have to keep performing at an optimal level from a physical standpoint when people are taking shots at you every week. But yes, players who are good descend all the time. And you saw a bunch of them descend on the Eagles this year. But when it comes to on the field, and it comes to winning games, my God, it's the players. Sean McVay didn't win that fucking game. Matthew Stafford settled down and made good decisions and got him down the field. I just, people, it's amazing. It's this weird disconnect where obviously fans buy the jerseys with the player's name on it. They love the players, but then at the same time, they'll say
they'll never criticize the players.
Yeah, but if you gave every single Eagle fan truth serum and said you can only keep one, Howie Roseman or Jalen Hurts, I guarantee every single one.
Well, the smart ones will say I'll have Howie for 20 years and Jalen.
Oh yeah, you would take the GM all day long,
all fucking day, man.
I'll tell you what,
man. I still want Andy Reid to be the Eagles head coach. He hasn't been the head coach in 13 years.
I'll tell you what, if you go back to before this era started and said you'd give them this amount of winning for 5 consecutive years, would they take that after what they've been through? The longtime Eagles fans?
Yeah, I think Jalen deserves credit. I just don't think I think you need a lot more to be perfect.
My dad did not see an Eagles winning season until 1978. He was in his 20s. He doesn't remember 1960. He was 4.
All right, that's fine. Team wasn't good.
That's why this fan base is so spoiled. They have no idea. No idea. They were on the laughing stock of this league for so long.
You guys always go down this route of shitting on the whole thing. This is why I think the team should just say,
because this fan base is spoiled.
Hey, my defense, fucked up all you. I'd be fine with that because I'm going to have my opinion. Doesn't mean it's right. There's a lot of different ways to do this.
I'm telling you, a lot of these famous Twitter accounts would not be famous if the Eagles would lose 12, 13 games a year like they used to. And that used to happen a lot.
All right, we're fighting about it. Jeff, good stuff. I love debating with you as always, brother. It's always good. Who should be the Eagles offensive coordinator?
I mean, can I say Joe Brady now he's available?
Joe Brady's going to be the head coach of the Buffalo Bills.
I think he'll be the head coach.
I don't think that'd be a good move for them, but I think I could see it.
I like Zach Robinson. I like Mike McDaniel. I like Dable.
The Bills are retaining.
That's a perfect example, though. You bring up McDaniel. You think McDaniel's system would work in Philly?
I think it would get fixed.
He almost was here. They almost hired Josh McDaniels.
No, I meant Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel.
By the way, you think Josh McDaniels would have been a good head coach here? Because I don't think he
would. No. I didn't want him one bit.
No, I don't think he would.
And they
great offensive mind.
I don't think he would have.
Great offensive mind.
I love him as the offensive coordinator, but can I get Drake May with him?
Why you want Drake May if you're defending Jalen Hurts? I mean, Drake May did not play well in that game.
I'll take Drake May right now. I would trade Jalen Hurts for Drake May.
So would I, but that's a different conversation.
Drake May's a stud.
But I mean, he did not play well. He was just overshadowed by the brutal play of C.J. Stroud.
And the weather didn't help.
No, the weather certainly. was a part of it as well.
I'm with Impulsive. Look, he says, get ready for Jim Bob.
Jim Bob Cooter. I don't think they'll
he has a
hire
relationship
him.
with Nick.
By the way, and I said it one time, I don't think they'll hire Jim Bob Cooter because of that. But you guys know nothing about Jim Bob Cooter, and you act like you have this conviction of. That's why I should have.
Funny name, and it would be a funny hire.
Yeah.
For the Eagles. It would.
I mean, they think they know. They don't know. But they.
I mean, look, I kind of
conviction.
want Philip Rivers to be the offensive coordinator. He's never called a play in his life.
Well,
at least in the NFL.
Well, I advocated Josh McCown years ago for that reason. Like, to me, well, he's got no experience. He played 17 years in the NFL.
That was probably the most fun I had watching NFL football this year, was watching his first couple of games back.
Watching old man Philip. Yeah.
Literally, just watching him play the position. Not the success, not the completion, none of that. Watching him manage.
Well, the problem with Philip Rivers, problem with Philip Rivers is he was too high of a level of quarterback. Like, I think he might have trouble. Why I would advocate Josh McCown over Philip Rivers. Josh was a backup quarterback. Like, he wasn't a star. Yeah. He wasn't a star. But he played 18 years in every single conceivable offensive system there is. Nobody knows more about offensive football than Josh McCown. Philip Rivers performs at such a high level. To be able to teach that to somebody else is not as easy as it would seem.
I agree. All right, Jeff, good stuff, man. Appreciate you joining in as always. We'll talk to you next week. Maybe we'll have an OC, maybe we won't. And we will know who is going to the Super Bowl by this time next week. So
we will know who's going to the Super Bowl by this time next week.
It's going to be the Patriots, and I don't know. I think that NFC
is going to be the Patriots and Rams. So I'm making my early prediction.
Super Bowl 36 rematch, huh?
Yep. Yeah. Wait, isn't that also a 2018 rematch?
2019, yeah.
18,
yeah. That'll be the third. I think this would be the second time that we'd have the same matchup in the Super Bowl 3 times, because Cowboys Steelers has happened a bunch.
I'm rooting for Sam though, just because I want to be right. But
that team is good.
We were this close, by the way. USC quarterback has never made the Super Bowl, which is astonishing.
It is.
We were this close to being guaranteed. Caleb Williams against Sam Darnold.
Yep. All right, good stuff. All right, Jeff, appreciate you, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, see you, Zander. See you, John.
Good debate. I always appreciate you, brother. There's my boy, Jeff Kerr. Appreciate Jeff for doing it. Make sure you guys follow that Jeff Kerr, PHL. All right, John, a lot of good conversations. Now we will get into week 2 here, John. It's Monday. The offensive coordinator search is going to ramp up this week. We only had a week of the offseason. We already got reports coming out from what's going on inside the locker room, the way people are perceived, talked about, walking on eggshells around. This offseason, John, I got a feeling is going to be a good one, my friend.
Yeah, man. Bobby Slowick, Grizzard, exciting, sexy stuff.
Josh Grizzard.
Zach Robinson. Let's do it. Let's get some new ideas, some fresh ideas in here.
Yeah, I'm ready. I think there's going to be a lot more reports that come out this summer about what went on this season. John, looking back now, a week removed, what kind of sticks out to you as the story of this season as it now enters deeper into our rearview mirror?
Well, from a negative standpoint, it overwhelmed the entire organization was Kevin Patullo. Not that it was fair, but that was the story, and nothing else was even close. I guess AJ would be second in his consternation.
See, to me, it's
on the field. It depends what you're talking about. I'm talking about.
To me, it's more on the field.
On the field, it was a running game. Running game. Nothing else was close. That was the on the field.
Inept offense. That's how I'm going to think of the season. The offense was inept.
Well, that's
whether it's Patullo, AJ, Jalen. I don't even care. Pick one. It's all.
Well, it's all of them.
Yeah,
and the next credit starts with Nick. Everybody's got their fingerprints on it, but they fired one guy for it. So that's why I started with Patullo. But the actual what went wrong with the offense, the only difference between this offense and last year's offense was the running game. That was the difference.
You understand, though, what I meant in terms of, not to say Jalen's not a good player, but certain quarterbacks give you the ability to manage the inevitable fluctuations better than others.
That's the Staffords of the world.
Right. That's
Consistency
what
from
makes you a great, yes.
from
That's
week
all
to
I'm trying
week to week to week. Yeah, I preach that all the time. That's what you're shooting for. You're shooting for Peyton Manning, where your default setting is a bad season, it's 10 wins, and then you go up to 13 or 14.
And this is why teams lose their soul to draft quarterbacks at the top, even when they're not worthy, because they're just looking to hit on that one because he gives you all that advantage, So we'll see. John, we'll see what ends up happening. It's going to be an interesting week, I got a feeling, this week. We got some super chats we will get to. I want to thank everybody for being here today. All right, here's JD3. JD, maybe was Nostradamus this year. We could have used Harrison Bryant in the blocking game. First, I hear that Nick is leading the charge in the OC search. Now it's all Howie and Lurie. Everything is always a mystery with this team. Yes, it is.
I thought it was Howie and Lurie, and then it's Nick. So I'm as mystified.
I don't know if you saw the Jeff McMullen report.
Well, I don't know which Jeff report are we on.
He put out originally that Howie was leading the search. I mean, you saw that, right? He did put that out very clearly.
Yeah, but
Howie Roseman's leading the search, and then he changed it.
Yeah, he changed it.
Yeah, but what's the truth?
Is there another change? Is what I'm saying.
No, but what's the truth? The original thing he said, or when he got the call from the PR staff and had to put out a
Nick is in charge. And I use that word ostensibly on purpose because it is collaborative, it is layered. But and again, I go back to when this happened with Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, and remember all the talk about Kellen Moore having power and this and that, and it turned out not to be true. Now, again, people go down the same route. Like all the information I have is Nick Sirianni is in charge of the coaching staff. Now, I always say, ultimately, one guy can change that at a whim, and that's Jeffrey Lurie. Howie's on record saying his job is to, corral sort of candidates, and Nick interviews them, and Nick makes the decision, the final say. That doesn't mean it's not collaborative. That doesn't mean, as he explained with Quinyon Mitchell, that's my responsibility. Nick knew Jason Candle. Nick had a lot of information on Quinyon Mitchell. It made my job easier. Then he turned it to the coaching staff. I've been around for a long time. I've known Vic Fangio. I've known Kellen Moore. I have a lot of relationships in the state. That made it easier for Nick Sirianni. People do not believe that other people can work in a collaborative fashion. But for what it's designed, Howie Roseman is in charge of personnel, and Nick Sirianni is in charge of his coaching staff. Now, Jeffrey Lurie can step in at any moment on any side and do whatever he wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it is layered.
And I don't think Jeffrey Lurie thinks the personnel was the problem. I don't. We can debate how good it was. I don't think Jeffrey Lurie thinks.
Well, I think he also knows some of it's descending now, which he probably didn't think before the season.
Sure, maybe he knows. I don't think he puts that directly on the feet of Howie Roseman. I mean, these are young players. Makes sense.
No, I mean, I don't. He didn't fire the head coach either. He could have. Would have been dumb in my estimation.
Would have been really dumb.
But ultimately he can change on a moment's notice. But I don't know, to JD3's point, I don't know what report you're hearing or listening to. But the way it's set up is Nick is in charge of the coaching staff.
Philip says, what in God's name were the Niners doing last night? That was 2 nights ago, right? Yeah. They all ran together this weekend. How do we lose to that dog shit team and that pathetic excuse of a quarterback? Come on, Philip. I think Brock's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, they had a bad game. They were overwhelmed. Very difficult place to play. A dominant defense who played at a dominant level. But yeah, it was a very bad loss.
Seahawks are a squad, man. It's a fucking good team.
Very, very, very bad loss to the 49ers. But not because they're not a good team. They are a good team, but because of all the injuries they have suffered and who showed up in Philadelphia. The Eagles should have won that game.
I'm surprised to hear you think the Rams are going to win, man. I thought for sure you'd be picking the Seahawks.
Well, I think the Rams are the most well-rounded team. I've said it all year, basically.
I know Sean McVay is making me wonder though if he's going to,
Yeah, I'm not in love with the way he manages games.
No, it's really not that good. Almost feels like he lets teams hang around. He keeps teams in games. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Philip, thanks, brother. Here's Philip again. Bo Nix versus Sam Darnold in the Super Bowl. Bo Nix is hurt, Philip. Where are you?
Where are you?
Where were you, bro? Bo Nix, they announced right after the game.
But also think about what you're saying there, Philip.
The last play.
But say Bo Nix didn't get hurt, and say Sam Darnold does get the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, and you're sitting there and calling it the Stiff Bowl, and they're in the fucking Super Bowl. Who's the Stiff? Come on. What the fuck? It's the Super Bowl.
Here's Trigger. What's up, Trigger? The McDaniels and Daboll bigger names are interviewing for head coach, not OC right now, early in the process. Let's be patient, collecting insights from interviews. Trigger seems to be very optimistic on this.
They've interviewed. Brian's interviewed for the Chargers offensive coordinator job. Mike is interviewed for offensive. He's interviewing for both. More McDaniel than Daboll, because he's gotten head coach and coordinator interviews. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Mike's getting a head coaching job. I don't think Brian. I know Brian's not getting a head coaching job. So, if the Chargers might have significant interest in Brian Daboll, and Mike, the Bucs seem to have significant interest in Mike McDaniel. So you might have to act quickly if you want either of those guys. And maybe they want somebody else. But they also have to go through the Rooney Rule. That's part of it.
I don't think Mike McDaniel's even considering Philly. Maybe he is, but he hasn't interviewed yet. He's got all these interviews lined up. I think he wants a different style of offense.
Potentially.
You
also have to satisfy the Rooney Rule. Now, of all the rumored candidates, the only one who would satisfy that is Mike McDaniel. So you need two.
How does Mike satisfy that rule?
Because of his background.
Well, I don't know what he is. I thought he was a white guy.
No, he is not. He's part of it. So, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of people don't think it's only for African Americans. It's a Robert Saleh. Anytime you interview Robert Saleh, Mike McDaniel,
I have no problem with the initiative. I do think it
doesn't work.
It's a disingenuous environment.
It's a very disingenuous environment.
That's what.
But you have to satisfy it. So
yeah, it's true. All right, here's Anthony Hunt. What's up, Anthony? Why is it when Jalen has a bad game, he's crucified, but when Josh has a bad game, he gets a free pass? Why?
This is what I'm talking about.
Though, why is everything after John? The meme you brought up is perfect for this.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
About you, what does Jalen?
Every single quarterback in the NFL gets shit on for having a bad game. Jalen Hurts is not unique in that essence. CJ Stroud's getting fucking murdered today as well. And it's one of the worst games I've ever seen. So, I mean,
last two playoff games.
Again, I'm not talking about pseudo. I point out one legitimate media person that is making excuses for Josh Allen's turnovers. Doesn't exist. It's made up in your mind.
CJ's horrid. They should not extend him. No way. That defense should be in the Super Bowl. That defense is insanely good. That offense makes the Eagles offense look like a world beater. CJ Stroud is terrible. I don't want to hear an excuse for that either. He looks.
Who's making an excuse for that?
No one.
Point to one.
Get ahead of it, John, before the inevitable excuses come. He's fucking terrible. John says 2903 versus MVP. Kerr. I guess he's talking about our debate. Here's him, Bison. QBs go to the playoffs with Whiteside and Rager.
Well, the Eagles did.
I think that's his point. He's trying to give Jalen credit here.
Yeah, I get Jalen credit all the time. I mean,
I'm talking to me because I was.
But there's no quarterback that has ever won a Super Bowl with a bad supporting cast, and there never will be.
No, but certain quarterbacks can make up for change easier than others. Shooter says, "Who cares about being spoiled? Strive for greatness." Shooter, you're almost there. He's a Patriots fan. Shooter McGavin.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with striving for greatness. Just realize when you 5 consecutive postseason bursts, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and 1 Super Bowl title ain't bad. That's all. But yeah, strive for more. That's a good thing. The Eagles, trust me, the Eagles are disappointed they lost to the San Francisco 49ers. There's no problem. I have no problem with people having high expectations. But, when you dismiss a demonstrated history of performance and start taking, well, Sirianni's bad or Jalen Hurts, whichever you want to go, it's just not based in reality.
Shooter, thanks, brother. Here's Ride on the bench. What's up, man? Member for 14 months. Greg Roman, in my opinion, would be the guy. Coach Kaepernick, Lamar to an MVP, and I believe fits what they want to do, and he wouldn't get a head coaching job. I kind of like Greg Roman, or at least the thought of him to try, but.
Yeah, a lot of speculation about Greg Roman early when people started to put together a potential list. No hide nor hair of any reports of a potential interview. So doesn't look like they have tremendous interest where they're picking up something early. But I did think he would fit from a standpoint of trying to elevate what you do now versus a lot of new concepts. But doesn't look like they're heading down that direction, but that can change any moment. Maybe they talk to some of these guys and say, hey, we got to keep that. What happened during the search for Nick Sirianni? They interviewed a bunch of guys and they weren't wowed by anybody. And they said, let's keep interviewing people till they are wowed. So, but no hide nor hair of Greg Roman yet.
Appreciate all the super chats today. Got some good ones. Here's Keese. What's up, Keese? Happy Dr. King Day. Happy Martin Luther King Day, everybody. I forgot it was Martin Luther King Day. Good stuff. Keese, thanks for saying that. Happy Dr. King Day, gentlemen, and chat. How much longer will Jalen Hurts be our quarterback if he continues to not run like he did in 25? Keese, we got what's it called, John? When you pay for something and then it's not what you thought. What's the word for that?
Buyer's remorse?
No, not that. There's a better name for it.
That's a pretty good name. But he's on the clock. Nick and Jalen are on the clock starting next season. If he has a poor season and the Eagles miss the playoffs or are one and done in an ugly fashion again, they'll start thinking about making a change. Same with Nick. They're both on the clock.
I mean,
how it works.
Jalen doesn't run. How good of a quarterback is he?
Not as good.
He doesn't run. Right? Like he's not that great from the pocket. That's never been his skill set, right?
No, it's a big part of it. It's a big part of his game. And if he stops running completely, which he hasn't, but if he stops running completely, yeah, I mean, unless he really elevates his pocket presence and pocket awareness and abilities from the pocket, yeah, he's going to descend pretty quickly.
Here is Q the God. What's up, Q? McDaniel, Weiss, Dable in that order for me. We have to get rid of AJ now, right? Can't tell me he wasn't taking plays off all year with that report. AJ doesn't want to play her anymore. That's obvious.
Yeah, I've been on board for months now that I've shifted towards more likely he won't be here than will be here. I still think they'll try to talk to him when they hire the new offensive coordinator and say things will be different and try to rescue it just from a salary cap standpoint. But if a player truly wants out, they'll make it happen. And I still lean towards it's more likely that he won't be back than he will be back. I don't know about taking plays off. People make these judgments. This guy took this play.
I think what Ed said was the perfect way to describe it. I don't think it's taking plays off. I think it's lack of focus, which leads to,
Yeah, I like that description a lot better.
I like the way Ed explained it. Q, thanks for the super chat, brother. The one thing I'll say on AJ is it seems like AJ wants out, and you're not going to stop that. But for anybody who thinks the Eagles, where their offense already sucks as is going to get better without AJ Brown, I would I got a bridge to sell you because that's not going to happen. Here's him Bison. Nick made Gannon run Fangio. He hired Desai to run Fangio, but how he hired Fangio? Question mark. Come on, people, stop blaming Nick for bad and giving no credit for good.
Nick made Gannon run Fangio. He hired Desai to run Fangio, but how he hired Fangio? Come on, people, stop blaming Nick for bad. He didn't make Jonathan run Fangio. That was Jonathan's decision. They did hire Sean Desai because he was a Fangio sort of disciple. But yeah, I was surprised. I was actually surprised because I thought, and I got to know Jonathan pretty well when he was here, and we had that discussion because I assumed he had started with Mike Zimmer, where he became sort of a future star, and then he learned under Matt Eberflus in Indianapolis, and I presumed that he would run more of the A-gap stuff that Zimmer's famous for, and sort of mesh that with a bunch of cover 2 stuff that Eberflus is famous for. And he just liked the way Vic did things, like everybody else, it seems, in this league. And when he got control, he wanted to go in that direction. And he was, and I tell the story all the time. The Eagles, Howie Roseman recommended Josh McDaniels to be the Eagles head coach in 2021. Jeffrey Lurie nixed it because he didn't think the two would get along long term, even though they both claimed they would. And Josh McDaniels was going to bring in Jonathan Gannon as the defensive coordinator. The Eagles hate when I say this, but he was going to be here whether Nick was here or not. Now, to the Eagles' point, and they pointed this out, it's Nick was given the opportunity that, look, if you want to go in a different, we already got this guy, but if you want to go in a different direction, and Nick knew Jonathan from Indianapolis, so it worked out because he liked him a lot. So, but that's the timing of that. And it was, so he didn't make him run Vic Fangio's scheme anyway. But also interesting, Diana Rossini talking to NFL executives around the league about Buffalo's next head coach. The name that keeps coming up is Brian Daboll, which would affect the Eagles. I really do think, honestly, the Eagles would hire Brian Daboll if they can get him. I don't know if they're going to be able to get him.
I didn't think he'd get a head coaching candidate this job this cycle, but that makes sense. Remember, everybody was.
It does make some sense.
Brian's job. I mean, because of what he did with Josh Allen.
Yeah, it does make some sense, but
yeah. We'll see. All right, one more super chat, John. Then we'll let you run here. Here's Philip. The Texans' defense is so fun to watch. They fly around the ball. Too bad CJ sucks balls. I agree.
Texans' defense is really good, but you know what though, man. Derek Stingley got beat a couple times. People got to stop I always say people got to stop the highlight scouting and the screenshot scouting. They got to stop the reputation scouting. He got beat 2 big plays, man.
He did, but come on.
I mean, because it became very.
Is the defense the reason they lost that football?
No, but it became very clear that the defense had to go win the game. That's a tough way to play. I'm not saying that. See, I'm not defending C.J. Stroud. He was abysmal. Let me make that clear. He was abysmal. That's one of the worst playoff performances I've seen ever. He was. Every time he dropped back, I thought he was going to turn it over. But when you're in that type of situation and the defense is that good and you have no margin of error, and there is an all-pro corner with the big reputation not playing like an all-pro corner in a big moment. I'm sorry, but that's the reality.
Phil, appreciate it. One more super chat. Here's Philip again. AJ doesn't take plays off. This fan base is so effing dumb, and they tend to forget these guys are actual human beings. Give our superstar the ball. Philip, you're on a roll today, my guy.
Yeah, I covered Randy Moss for years, and people would say he'd take plays off.
Yeah, if Randy wasn't the ball, he barely ran.
You just roll out of bed. Well, when you're running go routes 50 times, that's another thing. And they call a running play. Yeah, you're gonna to the opposite side of the field. You're gonna walk off the line of scrimmage, and people put the camera on them. It's bullshit. But yeah.
All right, John, a fast start to week 2 of the NFL offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles. Your final thoughts here on a Monday edition of Birds 365.
Things are heating up. Sean McDermott added to the list 10 of 32, man. This league patience is not a virtue in this league.
And maybe one of the better candidates for the Eagles job is potentially going to be in Buffalo, and that guarantee. Let's see what Buffalo.
And I don't think people would be thrilled with it. I don't think people are too excited about Brian Daboll. I think the Eagles were. But.
Well, you know what the city does. They'll find a way to talk themselves into it, John. I'm already seeing people on the radio. He'll be a great figure for Jalen, but don't worry. They'll be sold on it pretty soon. And then
and then until week 1.
Yeah.
Until
week 1.
Yeah. Until week 1.
All right, John. Good show, man. I'll talk to you tomorrow, or maybe today if we get some breaking news. But I don't think it'll come today.
They haven't even satisfied the Rooney Rule, to my knowledge, so it ain't going to happen today.
Yeah. All right, brother. Good show.
All right, see y'all.
All right, see you, man. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365. Great show today. I want to thank and welcome everybody for being here today. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Off-season week 2, and we're already getting into it, folks. We're already getting into it. Me and Jeff Kerr are debating. By the way, I still have no idea what he was trying to say. But good debate, Jeff. Appreciate you, brother. All right. OC search underway. Whole bunch of stiffs. If John doesn't want to stay it, I will. Who the fuck are we interviewing? We're the Philadelphia Eagles. We're fresh off a Super Bowl. We got more offensive talent than most teams in the league. Who the fuck are we interviewing? I mean, does nobody want to say it? Who? Mike Kafka? Mike Kafka? Josh Grizzard? Jim Bob Cooter? We're the Philadelphia Eagles. We can't get a better name than this. Does nobody want to coach this offense? Come on, man. What is good? Zach Robinson? Folks, I could be unhinged all off season. All right. I could be unhinged all off season. This is becoming more and more clear. All right. As the days roll on, more and more clear to me. What do they call it? What do they call it in WWE? When you got the good guy is called what? The baby face. All right, right? And then you got the heel. What do you call it when you have John Cena as the 20-plus year baby face and then he becomes the heel? It's a shift of epic proportions, of seismic proportions. We could be seeing that on JAKIB Sports here this summer. All right. We could be seeing a little bit of that on JAKIB Sports this summer. All right. Here we go, folks. Jim Bob Cooter to the rescue. Mike Kafka to the rescue. Zach Robinson to the rescue. Really? The Philadelphia Eagles, who have been more successful than any team, I think, since 2020, maybe with the exception of one team, who have more wins in the 21st century than any team, who've been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years. Jim Bob Cooter and Mike Kafka. Folks, get ready for another year of inept offense. I'm telling you right now, get ready for another year of the offense sucking balls. Get ready for it. And don't Don't come back here complaining about it, saying that I didn't warn you. Saying that I didn't warn you. This offense is going to stink again. All right? It's going to stink again. Somebody put in the chat earlier. I think it was Catch, man. I think it was you, Catch. Catch every once in a while just has a banger of a comment. He says, if you got a piece of shit 332,000-mile Toyota Corolla that got run into on Broad Street, he got rear-ended on Broad Street, the bumper's hanging off, the front splitter's broken and busted down, it barely drives, and you swap out the tires, well, guess what? You still got a piece of shit. Car still barely runs. The splitter's still broken. The bumper's still hanging off and dragging down the road. I mean, thanks for the new tires and all. Oh, thanks. Thanks for the new tires. Dude, your bumper's hanging on the side of the road. I didn't really need new tires. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. If this offense sucks next year. Oh, gosh. If this offense sucks next year, which I think it's gonna. The Sirianni Hurts offense. There's a new phenomenon in the city of Philadelphia. Prescriptions for anxiety medications and depression medications are going through the roof as the Philadelphia Eagle offense is a sight for sore eyes. The Eagles are hypnotizing their fan base, putting them into a severe state of depression because the offense is just so fucking bad. The new phenomenon in Philadelphia. Get ready to be miserable when you watch your favorite football team. Gee, thanks. Gee, thanks, Eagles. What would I do without you, Eagles? Gee, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for this putrid, brutal offense. By the way, that cost more than any offense in the history of pro football. You literally, sometimes you can't make this shit up, all right? Sometimes you truly, the jokes, the narratives, they write themselves. They literally write themselves. The most expensive offense in the history of pro football is legitimately a sight for sore eyes. It'll drive even the most sane and happy man to drink. It'll drive the man with the best foundation, the best moral compass, a grounded nature in God and family and principles. It'll drive that motherfucker crazy too, man. Oh, gosh. Mike Kafka. You want Mike McDaniel? You want West Coast? You want high flying? Best I can serve you is Mike McDaniel with a side of the 27th ranked, or Mike Kafka with a side of the 27th ranked passing offense. What do you think? Take it or leave it, Philly fans. Take it or leave it, Philly fans. Oh, man. Oh, gosh. Boy, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. All right, I hope it works out better than this. I got to get out of here. I'm delirious this morning. I'm delirious. I'm delusional. I'm dehydrated. All right. Holy moly. Thanks for my new tires. My Corolla might not make it to the gas station down the road. But hey, Appreciate the new tires. You even gave me a discount on them at the Mavis Tire. Thank you. Gee, thanks for that 10% off coupon. I don't know what I would have done. Thanks for the discount. Oh, man. See that one, bro? Who sees that over there? That's a piece of my car that just fell off. Don't fix that, though. Trust me, you need the tires. Philip, what's up, Philip? AJ is like that cute and smart blonde girl I dated in high school that got away. Don't let him get away. We'll regret it. Philip, that's a funny comment. Some may or may not be able to relate. John says, the Jalen offense strikes again. Yes, it does. Here's Philip. I get wide receiver ones are divas, and I think AJ is a princess he's definitely a princess who needs attention, but we have to deal with this. He's the best receiver this city's had, Z. Well, I agree, but you don't want to be here anymore, dude. Can you blame him? The offense doesn't throw the ball. They can't throw the ball to save their life. I mean, can you blame him? Philip, this guy's got blemishes on what he wanted to be a Hall of Fame resume. You know, he ain't happy. He don't want to be here anymore. He wants to go and get $1,500 and go to the Hall of Fame. That's what receivers want. They don't care. They don't care about team success. They don't care about a parade down Broad Street. They care about getting their gold jacket. They care about getting their next contract. They care about being immortalized for being a good player, not for being a great team. I'm not saying I blame them. I'm just telling you what it is. AJ doesn't want to be here anymore, bro. I know you don't want to get rid of him. I agree with you. They're not going to be a better team without him, but he ain't coming back. He doesn't want to be here, and I can't blame him. Where are all the Hertz commercials they were shoving down there? I don't know, Theo. I haven't seen that sucker aired in a little bit. Good question there, Theo. Shady, just getting here. Buffalo took an F, and what say you? Yeah, I'll say, Shady. That's being blunt, and you still might be putting it mildly. Shady, you missed a good debate today on with the segment with Jeff Kerr. You may or may not enjoy it. All right. Yeah, Dable's probably. I could see that Dable to Buffalo. I could see that. Don't kick the chair just yet, Philly. Reyes, they already got me in the chair, brother. They already got me in the chair. Curtis says, Z, stop worrying so much about the OC. Worry about the run game. Jalen is the QB, so the run game will make or break us. All right, good. Curtis, what are you going to do about the offensive line? That's the highest paid offensive fucking line in football. You gonna replace the center, Curtis? $18 million? You're going to replace your $22 million left guard? Huh? You're going to replace the production of a Hall of Fame right tackle in Lane Johnson? Are you going to add 5 inches and 50 pounds to Tyler Steen and make him one of the best run blockers in football? Curtis, what is your fix, my friend? Huh? What is the fix? This is my point. You need everything to be perfect. And when the inevitable fluctuations that come for every single football team in the National Football League, when they inevitably come, which they have come to Philadelphia, who makes up for those changes? Who gives you the best chance to win against all odds? Bench Cam and Son. And that ain't getting it done, Curtis. Becton was a stiff out in L.A. this year. The tush push and the 480 attempts destroyed him too. Again, part of my point. If you're going to run, if your only way to win on offense is by running the ball and running the freight train into the wall every week, well, guess what? It ain't going to work that long. It's not going to work that long. The window is much shorter. Hopefully the window didn't shut. We also got a dual threat quarterback who wants to be single threat, and he's not very good at being the single threat. I mean, despite all the Jalenites and whatever they want to say. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback when he runs the ball and he gives you an advantage in the run game, and he's a +1, and he opens things up for Saquon, and he picks up first downs on 3rd and long. and he makes plays. If Jalen Hurts wants to turn into, I don't know, a pocket passer, and you want to win football games that way, well, guess what? You're not going to win that many football games. You're not going to win that many football games. You're just not. So it is what it is. It is what it is. We're just sitting here enjoying the ride, folks. And if you're a fan of the Eagles, you better hope that I'm not right. Here's Ambrose. All right, clearly Z has given up on next season. Let him cry and be down bad. Reyes, bro, it's fucking January. We didn't even get – you're already on the Delulu Kool-Aid, bro? The season ended 8 days ago. And you're already on the Kool-Aid for next year? You didn't even take your fucking medicine yet, Reyes. You're still down for the count. You're up in bed. Your wife is bringing you chicken noodle fucking soup with a little extra salt in the broth. Come on, Reyes. You didn't even drink your medicine. And he's talking about next season. Yeah, it's because you're driving a Toyota Corolla. Hey, Reyes, that Toyota Corolla I was talking about that was struggling to get down Broad Street. Well, guess what? We got a round trip to make next year. You're going to have another additional 30K miles on that sucker. How you feeling about taking that Corolla on your cross-country trip? Because that's what we got to do to win another Super Bowl. There's a lot of inevitable ebbs and flows to a cross-country trip. Anybody who's ever driven cross-country knows. There's a lot of things that happen. There's a lot of obstacles to overcome. Oh, man. Corolla's cooked. All right? Corolla's fucking cooked. You ain't in the driver's seat, Reyes. No, you're not. You're in the fucking trailer out back, and they didn't even give you a closed trailer. They got you hanging on to the boat, hanging on for dear life. You ain't driving the ship. You're a fanboy driving the ship. What the Lulu world are you living in? None of us are driving the ship. I drive the ship for my own fucking life, Reyes, not the Eagles. Because I drive that ship a lot differently. All right. Snow in Florida? Is that right? Is there snow in Florida right now? Oh, my! Even the Floridaites can't escape it. We got a lot of snow out here right now. I'm a shoveling man. You know, I had the snowblower. Fucking thing has kicked the bucket. Thing's in perfect condition. Hey! Spent 3 G's on a snowblower a couple years ago. Thing's in perfect condition. Motor doesn't turn on. Compressor's all fucked up. Fan's broken. What a piece of shit. Back to the old school shovel, folks. All right? You got to have a nice shovel. All right? It can't be one of those plastic pieces of shit where you can't get under the snow. That snow that's a little stubborn. Doesn't want to come up. All right. I want one of the. Has anybody seen the snow thrower, the Makita snow thrower, or the Makita, or however the hell you say that tool brand? I'm not a user. I'm a Milwaukee guy. It's got like a shovel and it's got a launcher. Just launches the snow. Shit looks like an awesome way to snow blow or snow shovel. Philip, I'm convinced M. Reyes is Bob Lang. No, I know M. Reyes. M. Reyes, real quick, though. My sister showed me the rosaries they're making for you. Dude, they are sick, Reyes. You're going to love them. They are sick. Yeah, Gary, I've seen them. They're dope. Type in Makita Snow Thrower, it's called. Check out the viral post I just saw recently on that thing. Probably come right up. Dude's got like 10 inches of snow, and he just fucking plowing it. It's epic. Epic. Watching this offense feels like a 9-to-5 job. It feels worse than that. Feels worse than that. Feels like a drug you regret taking. Falcons has they kept Jeff Ulbrich as their DC. All right, I'm out of here. I love all you guys. Hit the like button. Let's see what happens. Don't take the black pill yet, but it's getting more enticing. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.